This video's for all you stupid. This video's for all you stupid.
What's going on? Will and his channel fans. How are we doing? We need some more light. I think that looks alright to me. Today, Gigachads versus Soyboys. How many Gigachads are going to be here today? I guess we're about to find out. That might be the first mystery. We'll do it. I think they'll pull me in. There we go. There's Peter Pockets.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
Am I Peter Pockets in here? Yeah, that's from previous skit.
Oh, it's Tuna.
Yeah, what's poppin', brother?
Not much. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing okay. My throat hurts like fucking hell. So we'll see whether or not I talk much at all during this, but I got my points. How you doing, man?
You know, hanging in there. I've been staying busy.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, how many slurs are you gonna say?
I don't know. The
Gamer?
answer isn't 0. No, I'm just kidding.
Gamer, that's the first one, and you're gonna hit it with the hard R. You're gonna hit the curve, and it's gonna have a little bit of that skirt. It's gonna have a little bit of that curve tension, like American History X style.
That's a great movie.
I should watch it again. It's been a while.
I've only seen it one time, but I just remember walking, you know, turning off the computer screen being like, holy shit, well, that was a movie.
I thought you were gonna do a joke where you're gonna be like, I just remember turning off the computer screen and shaking my head,
Wagging my finger.
wagging
No,
my
that's
finger, tapping my toe, saying to myself, when is this racism gonna end? When are we gonna stop treating each other like this? I do love the idea of like a character in my head, a person who their entire it's just like the type of people that are online, because I think that they're lying in how they present themselves. The type of people who like pretend when they're watching something from an author they decided is like, or a director they've decided is a bad person. They like will become media illiterate. So like someone will be like watching American History X and be like, I can't believe that they made such a startling and stunning advocation for white supremacy. It's just like, wait, what? Where did you get that fucking? How did you get that out of that movie? Or someone will be like, I don't know, something like any of the fucking Tarantino movies, and they'll be like, wow, violence and racism's cool again, huh? It's just cool to be violent and racist now, huh? It's like they all die.
So, where do you think that comes from? Do you think that's like they choose to be ignorant, or do you think they're actually offended? Where do you think that comes from?
Uh, it's right in the language. If you pay attention to the things they say, one of the biggest things that gets said by people when they're speaking from a place of like ignorant moral superiority is they say, I don't even understand, or I can't, I don't know how a person could believe that, or I don't understand, or what. There's a lot of different things they'll say where it is a selective ignorance that is bred by the idea, I believe, that there's like this superstition that if you entertain a wrong idea, you might accidentally believe it. And by allowing your brain, by allowing the electric meat to do the computation, it is like, it's almost like dirty. It's like sinful to even entertain an incorrect thought. So if you've already decided that the conclusion is wrong, that you're not allowed to think about the thing. And then once you've decided that it's okay to write things off without investing the mental energy to figure out whether or not your preconceived thoughts about the thing are accurate, the second stage is whatever the popular consensus about a piece of media is what the piece of media is, and thus I don't need to investigate it to figure out if that's accurate, so I can write things off. Like, for instance, Tarantino saying the N-word in one of his movies means that, well, actually he's racist, and Django Unchained was a racist movie. It's like, if you watch the movie, I can understand maybe calling it pornographic of violence, but you can't call it racist. That's insane. There's like
Here they are. Well, someone would come in and be like, guys, I think rape is bad, and then the Gigachad move would be like, you fucking soy, what are you talking about? And it's like always like just it's the Gigachad thing is to shut down people that are emotional.
Well, yes, and I think like an example, I'll get to you guys just 1 second. Hold on. I think an example of that. I remember being in a panel, and as soon as like a hint at the JQ came up, people automatically jumped at it. And then that gives the ability to be like, oh, look at you soy out. Now you're just soying out. And we can't even have the conversation because they've triggered the reaction, and being able to stifle the conversation by just saying, look at you being soy. Now you have to talk about the soy or what that is, instead of, did you just insinuate we need less Jews in banking? Okay, Tuna.
What's up?
We went around real quick. If you can introduce yourself, give a definition of Gigachad and soy.
Sure. I'm Tuna Chip. I'm a streamer here. My voice is barely existent because we went real hard trying to watch that new ContraPoints video. 2 hours of turns into 8 hours real fast. Jesus Christ, that thing's long. I'm not even done with it. But Gigachads, soy. Right now, I think the best way to describe it is that Gigachad is a masculine presentation of being unbothered. So it's like a position of being above being bothered. But it's more than just being unbothered. It's not ambivalence anymore. It's like it is cool. It is right. It is good. It is like to purposely stay unbothered or be unbothered. And at any point that a person cracks, you become soy, which soy on the second half of the thing is got your ass. You were bothered. You're triggered.
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way to put it. If we want to be a little bit more generous to how these terms can be used in better ways, Gigachad is sort of an extension of that sort of that long standing idea of like stoicism. This idea that something that we can't affect, we shouldn't be emotional about, we shouldn't care about. And then soy is like to be like constantly like a bug man, just like constantly freaking out about anything, because to be bothered is to care, and to be seen caring is to be morally righteous. So it's a strike back against this like performative level of seeming extremely bothered, because being bothered is what matters. It's like an inversion of that script. So if I had to think about like the whole topic and like why Gigachad is a thing right now, it is a correction and an overcorrection for like this weird like Instagram, Tumblr, like every single what was it? This is so important. That was the old thing before Gigachad existed. This is so important. Why is nobody talking about this? Now it's like, this is so gay. Why is anybody talking about this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
That was very well said.
Will. Will,
Will, you're
is
muted.
this? Are you pausing for dramatic effect?
Will,
No,
can
he
you
knows
hear?
how he's muted.
Will is fucking Gigachadding it, is what he's doing. This is a meta version.
He doesn't give a shit.
No, his fucking audios are probably all off, and we're just now.
He just sent me a
memeing on him.
DM and said talking on panels is gay, so he's not talking today.
Will, can you hear us yet? No? Yeah, help him out somehow.
Oh shit, you're unmuted, but still no. We still can't hear you, bud.
Just, oh my god, this fucking guy comes in late, and then he like, holy
Hey,
shit. Oh wait,
I couldn't hear the words, but I felt them when he said them.
wait. I'm sorry.
Look at fucking F-bombs being soaring out
Get over
a
it.
basic
Wait,
technical issue.
I thought I was giga chatting because I was yelling at him when
You
I
were
should
until
have
you talked
when
about
I
it.
should have been
fucking-
showing
Here's
showing
a-
empathy.
Here's the thing. I think that soy and Gigachad aren't mutually exclusive
The
to
spectrum.
like to the toxic masculinity or the performative rage or anything. You can have good soy rage and content, but it's just I think it's kind of like Tuna Chip said, it's like being seen as caring is like makes it look like you're one of those virtue signalers and shit. And to Gigachad, someone else makes them look like they're the virtue signaler, even if you're not. Even if you actually care, me Gigachatting to you makes it puts me on a pedestal, or puts me on like a position where I'm responding to your virtue signal. You're obviously just faking it. Your emotions, fuck that.
See,
Nobody cares about shit.
I think these things can be so vast. Like I'm thinking of a TikTok where there's a girl and a guy in their car, right? And the girl's like, "Oh, honey, that car's just like yours. except it's nicer. And he goes, oh, I bet his girlfriend's hotter too. And then you have like the Gigachad sound.
Damn.
And it's like, to me, that's a version of Gigachad where you're just like ruthless about what you say, but you weren't necessarily wrong for like it's not necessarily a wrong, but it is like, oh fuck.
I think that's a version of murder F-bombs. I think that's what that is.
Can we hear you yet, Will?
Yeah, are we there? Did it work?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're here.
There we go.
We're
Okay,
here.
sorry. Yeah, let's see
We're
how long it lasts.
Here, baby.
It's not
It's
a Will in
okay.
his channel stream without at least 2 or 3 audio cutouts. So I think
Well,
Will in his audio channels.
yeah, it's pretty. We'll get there eventually.
All right.
I think
Go
being a Gigachad is saying the unpopular opinion in a way that makes people feel a positive emotion. Like being a Gigachad, I think is kind of weird because you don't necessarily have to be right, but sometimes you are. And yeah, I think that the thing about being soy is it's saying the popular opinion in a way that usually makes people feel a negative emotion. Like being soy is like you're just like, oh, rape is bad, you know, abortion can harm things, you know, like you just have a really boring opinion and people are just like, well, that's so soy. But then if you come out of like left field and you have a really weird opinion, like all forms of sex are possibly rape, people are just like Gigachad, like yeah, like you know, because that's the weird opinion, you know.
Interestingly,
So,
though,
yeah.
if you said no forms of sex are technically rape, also Gigachad.
Bow, 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 bow.
Perhaps
Yeah,
slightly
we're
more
all here.
Gigachad, yeah?
Yeah, so it's
You
kind of
just
just like
blew
your
my
perspective.
mind.
It is about presentation. That's a good point. Because, like, you could take the Dworkin shit and say, like, yeah, fucking vaginal penetration is rape. Exclusively. It is a violent act. And you can say that in a way where everyone's like, okay, you fucking bothered woman. You fucking soyed out woman. And then you could also say it in a way, I think, actually, in one way, there's something of a sexist quality to it. Let's go soy about talking about soy, where being a man does make a majority of things sound less soy because they're women's problems. If I say women don't matter, Gigachad. If I'm a woman and I say women don't matter, pick me. If I say men don't matter, I'm being soy. Oh, okay, yeah. Contaminated by the Jew mind virus, feminist. Fucking you probably have the fucking vaccine, but if a
So-
woman says that within her own group, that's her being like, I guess, Giga Stacy.
So would you? Well, I was gonna say, would you say then Gigachad is more like manosphere bound, but they can give like license to women to borrow it sometimes? Be like, oh shit, that was Gigachad by her. But it's more of always a surprise if a woman does it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like phallic symbolically. Like it is all about just like it's you're big dicking it. That's like one way to call it too. You're big dicking it.
Some things are
thing
only
is, like-
Gigachad if a woman says them. Like it just wouldn't be Gigachad if a man said it.
Yeah, but that's not really the point. Like,
No, I think that's a legitimate point. Will, give an example.
okay.
shit's
Like
cringe.
if women, you know, like if someone's trying to be like super sexual and like a woman just fucking owns it. It's just like, yeah, blah 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 blah. People might just be like Gigachad, holy shit, you know. Versus like I don't know, I wouldn't really see a man maybe do that.
Yeah, if
I
somebody
think-
says you probably suck a lot of dick, if she goes, shut the fuck up, I'll suck your dick too, bitch. Like, Gigachad.
Yeah, but see how you said it with a surprise? You weren't like Gigachad. Like if a dude did it, you were like, oh, Gigachad. It's like you're caught off guard because a woman had big dick energy.
I know one
There's
thing.
also an
Very
element of irony
vulgar.
to element of irony
Yes.
makes something Gigachading.
Okay.
So the issue is like it's kind of obvious when we see it, but it's really hard to accurately, perfectly define it. It's like it's a heuristic. It's that there's like a lot of different things going into this.
Well, so okay. Go ahead, Tuna.
I noticed something that we kind of like touched on there, which or like I didn't even realize the bigger implication of the big dick in it thing, but also the thing with the woman. What makes something Gigachad? Why is it cool to be unbothered? It's because theoretically you have some kind of immutable value you don't take your value from others' opinions. That's the big thing. It's the thing that we all really want, which is like this immutable confidence. Big dicking it is all about his dick is so big he doesn't need to cater to women's opinions, right? It's this idea that there's an internal value, and I think that's one of the main reasons that it's so important to men, is because most women are already kind of innately valuing themselves by their body. If we're thinking of like really like hot women, there's more hot women than there are like valuable men.
Okay, so Gigachad is like our lots of colors and funny dance that a male bird does to try to get a mate. We're trying to project this. We don't give a fuck, but we don't give a fuck because we think, well, okay, so there's authentic Gigachad and then there's the faux Gigachad.
I think they're the same Gigachad.
Won't be that
There's having a big dick, and then there's giving off the energy as if you have a big dick. If that's the distinction, then yeah.
I don't know why we have to make it so
both.
phallic. I'll be honest.
You can have both.
I think it's just a confidence to say things outside.
I think
Like-
that it's phallic. I think that
Oh,
it's
gotcha,
no
I'm sorry.
different. Yeah, that's my theory. That's why I'm saying it.
Okay, then this is more directed at Tuna. Like, I think it's more just like a confidence to go outside the Overton window, and then just depending on what kind of person you are, just naturally, whatever you can say, your Overton window changes depending on who you are. So like, I don't really feel like there needs to be such an emphasis on like on this phallic thing. It's just women have different Overton windows than men do.
So a non-phallic example, like when Aiko did the "I will peg you" about Haas, and
Is that not phallic?
did
she
I
pegging
say
with?
did I say not phallic? I'm sorry, I lied completely.
Literally borrowing the symbol of the phallus.
When Aiko said she would totally peg Haas and did this whole song that like was hilariously Gigachad, it's because of the pegging more than the embarrassment. Interesting.
I'm stuck on. I'm still holding tight to the sort of dismissal of people's emotions. Like one good example of how to Gigachad would be like, say that you just said that, but you were emotional about it. I'd be like, looks like I don't think you're cut out for this space. You know, I think you're a little bit too sensitive. I think you like, you know, you're just not cut out for this. You know, like you get a grip, buddy.
You say that's what soy is?
No, that's Gigachatting. I'm Gigachatting you if I do that.
Okay, sorry.
I
Like,
think there's
okay,
that
that
her
makes
saying
sense.
that is probably the most Gigachad thing I've ever heard. It encapsulates everybody's fucking definition all at once. Like, there's nothing more big dick energy than fucking a man in the ass.
True.
And talking about it in public, talking about the inevitable ass rape that this man is going to have. That is like peak prime. Like, I don't give a fuck, big dick energy. I don't.
Fuck you. I want my ass raped. Fuck you. I'm ready.
See, that's
I have
Gigachad
I have a butt plug in right now, ready to get fucking ass raped. I'm perfect and prime. I'm lubed.
You see, this is what we call a power bottom, right?
So it's just the attitude. It's just the attitude then, more than even what's being said. I think somebody said it earlier. It's like the setup, the emotion, the delivery more than the content.
The social dynamic.
You probably don't even eat fucking Cocoa Puffs like into a gig. Like it doesn't really even matter, I guess. Like if I'm just shitting on you in a way that's to embarrass you or to like show I don't give two shits about what you're saying, then so it's demeaning them in some, emasculating them in some way.
While that can be a part of this dynamic, the most important part of the Gigachad is actually that the Gigachad is like a response to a caustic environment by being unbothered, right? It's not merely like insulting someone. It's like when they come to you and they say like, hey, I saw you say the N-word on stream yesterday, and you said, yeah, my pronouns are that/giga. and then bow, 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 bow. You know, it's all about being unbothered by critique, not looking towards external things for validation.
Right.
Like if I came to you and I just said, like, if I just like called you the F slur, am I being Giga Chad right then? Nah, you need more data. You need more info.
Right.
Also be like crying. Like you could be West Aquamarine in my fucking DMs every day.
It's interesting. Interesting because being self-assured is a very good quality, I think. And like of all my qualities, I think that's the one that's good about me. I have a lot of like, shit about me. It's not perfect, but I am self-assured. But to be a streamer and be self-assured, there's this element of the chat to actually perform as self-assured. You're not actually being self-assured. You're assured by your chat. You're assured by the audience. It's not yourself. So when you to your audience are saying, oh, like, oh, well, I don't fucking care. Like if you are sad that I'm using the N word, I'll just say it right now. Your audience would be like, bro. It's not yourself being assured. It's them assuring you.
I agree. I think
So we're
only your
back to a
audience can
glorious back-
determine the Giga Chad.
Say it again.
I think only the audience can really determine if the person's being Giga Chad or soy. I don't think like people independently in the conversation get determined. Like if they're like, oh yeah, I'm being a Giga Chad right now. Everybody thinks they're being a Giga Chad. No one thinks they're being soy. I think it's really the audience that determines that.
Okay, I was like 17 hours deep into like self toxoplasmosis and fucking in dreamland. But I woke up in the middle of the night and I typed something that I think Giga Chad and a couple of other things, which in this instance I wrote down the word swag.
Swag.
But there is a certain there is a word. We're trying to find a word all the time for the ineffable quality of the fact that we desire to not desire to be desirable. Like it's a really, really weird thing. But basically we see people who are like, yeah, we see self-assurance and we see like, God, I'd love to be self-assured. But the only way to get it is for like, you're not going to get it by wanting it. And a lot of the people that are going forth and getting it, yeah, it's like you say, the performance of Giga Chad is actually the least Giga Chad. And I guess you could say, oh God. And I'm gonna double down on this phallic thing, because if we think about unbothered women, right? If they do it in a vaginal way, if they express it labially, somebody
Yeah.
like Katie, where like Katie's not a person that seems to like change her personality very often. She does when she's talking to really big streamers, but that's its own thing. But it's like we aren't going to call someone like Katie a Giga Chad for like fucking insulting people and like talking down to people. Most people call that a bitch, right? That's the classic one. That's a bitch. That's not a Giga Chad. That's like somehow being soy and Giga at the same time.
Well, so there is a level, like when it comes phallically, I do feel like there are some emotions that I'm starting to see are standards in these different definitions, like powerful, feeling in control, um, above it all, like I'm beyond it, but I'm also like beyond it in a way where I'm participating in the world, but I'm not bound by it. Like it is this essence, this it factor that people are I think you tried to describe earlier, but also there's a exact opposite of that to it, where there is a level of it in other ways GigaChat is used. There's a level of insecurity where you can't just take the negative comment, you have to fight back. And I do think there is an emasculation to it.
Before you added the phallic stuff, you were literally just giving the classical definition of cool.
Is that GigaChat?
It's pretty Giga
It's about
Chad,
as
I'd say.
close. It's about as close to a healthy representation of what Giga Chad wants to be as we exist for. Yeah. But this is like the meme that I think about it. This is like the healthy version of Giga Chad.
Yeah, give it Giga Chad. Honestly, yeah.
I thought you were just making fun of me.
No, I'm not just calling
That's
you
fucking
fat.
hilarious.
I do that. That's for your DMs, Drazi.
Wait, so does that mean would you say that Gigachad falls within the circle? Or would you say that that guy in that picture falls within the Venn diagram of Gigachad, or is it separate?
Um,
Is there overlap? Like, would you call that guy Gigachad, or is he something Gigachad is only trying to be, but is only a simulacrum of?
So
What?
if I'm gonna crack open the theory thing, I think a lot of this is Nietzschean, right? Because Nietzsche's whole thing, resentment, is about like being weak but loving strength, and that's like what Giga is like because I am weak, I worship strength, but the thing that should actually be worshipped is something Dionysian, something that is in tune with nature, something that is not uh, filled with shame such that it needs to erode all things that it doesn't like about itself. So when you were saying like you're being soy, you're being XYZ, the reason that those claims, the critiques of soyness, even bother you at all is because you're full of shame, you're full of self doubt, you're full
Okay.
of the idea that you need to be assured by something. And Giga Chad is not a cure for that. It's
Okay.
actually just obeying the rules.
It's avoidance. It's avoidance.
Well, hold on. There's two things from
Yep.
chat that fit into that, and I want to see what you have to say.
Sure.
The first is how much of self-confidence is nothing more than self-deception. And then the other is to understand what it means to be Giga Chad, it would be helpful to define Chad. And I think those
True.
are true. Both of those apply perfectly because I was gonna ask if there is a level of like confidence, but also humility at the same time that goes into a Giga Chad.
Chad
I
is
think-
Chad is being an apex male. It's being like an alpha male. It's about being like highly desired to such a point that you like are no you like it's simply the fact that you're like you fulfill the main desires but by default, not because you're trying really hard to do it, but like you were kind of born into being a successful male. That's what Chad is.
Am I the only person that, like, when I hear someone say Giga Chad or say Chad, I, like, subconsciously think slash Stacy. Like, all the
Stacey's in
time.
there.
Well,
That's the
why
soyest
does
shit
it
I've
have
ever
to
heard in my
be,
life.
why does it
Yeah,
have
that
to be,
is some
like,
fucking feminism
that's fine.
soy shit.
I just don't understand why it's so, the focus on male stuff so much. Is that weird? Can someone, like, ELI5 me, like the
Well,
why
What's
I...
a Chad?
Well, hold on. What Tuna Chips said earlier really resonated with me. I hadn't thought of before. Is just to summarize it really briefly, it's way harder for women to get the Giga Chad. It's way harder for them to be seen as doing the Giga Chad thing than it is for men in general.
I don't think... Is that really true?
If you don't think so, I respect that a lot, but I actually do think so. So you're better than me.
Like when Anna Kasparian debates, like Ben Shapiro. So sometimes I'm like, fuck, Giga Chad. Like when she does some dunks on Benny, Like I think it just depends on the type of.
I would just be. I don't think I would even think to say that. Like
I think women have to work against their own interest in order to like be Giga Chatting.
Yeah. Okay. Like I was on some fucking panel. And both Mr. Girl and Lee Famoid whatever fuck Lav, she was on there and she said something that I was like, this is a fucking Giga Chat. She's just Giga Chatting. She said, well, rape isn't even that bad. Like I got raped and it wasn't even that bad. And I was like, you're just Giga Chatting.
It always comes down to some sexual.
Because she's being ironic.
Almost every time it seems like.
But I feel like that might just be because we're uncreative. And those are just the ones that stick in our minds the most because, like, they resonate the most with the audience. But I don't think being a Giga Chat has to be sexual. Like when people are getting dunked on.
It has to be. I don't think it has to be, but I think
it doesn't have to be, but it should be.
Like Vosh back in the day, when Vosh back in the day used to debate like tankies and shit, there would just be, people that were against abortion. There would just be times where we were like, holy fuck, Vosh is being a Gigachad right now. And it had nothing to do with being sexual, right? Like, it's just because he was fucking
I think
destroying this guy.
you're missing a crucial element here, which is that
Okay.
this is a male social space. It is defined by male sociality. It is not a woman's social space. When you're inside of like a fucking Facebook group talking about Pretty Little Liars and Gilmore Girls, maybe there, because the culture is so incredibly designed around female sociality, we can start talking about it a little bit differently. But right now, frankly, most people see a woman being loud and they think she's either being soy or a bitch. They're not thinking she's being a gigachad. If anything, when we were talking about Anna, the real gigachad thing is that she's being like, restrained or something. And most people aren't going to be calling that like gigachad. Most people are thinking of it as like she dunked on him. She emasculated him. It's about removing the penis. That's castration.
She
Like-
was the man in that situation. She said, "I'm gonna fuck you in the ass
Yeah. Thus the pegging
with
example.
a fake dick." Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Look at me. I have the dick now,
Yeah. I am the dick now.
I do
Like-
think that Katie is a Gigachad, by the way. When I listen to Katie talk and like, the way she will just be like, no, I don't think so. Like, I'm just like, that's a movement.
Well, she also does the thing where she tries to emasculate men when she's talking to them.
Yeah.
Like
she does.
it's a part of a thing. She talks them down to them like they're a baby. She enters the sort of like diminutive quality. It's all related, I think, towards like at the end of the day, what is Chad? It is the desire to be a desirable male. It is the desire to be big dick in it.
Okay.
We get
So-
it. Katie's like a fucking comic book feminist. Okay.
All right. Well, let me read something from chat and then I'll move us forward.
Drazi, really, before you read this, Drazi,
Okay.
can you turn up your fucking noise gate? I can hear your chastity shingling in the fucking background. Either that or unlock it. I'm not into this. Now go ahead.
Okay. It seems to me that the term Gigachad implies to a dominant relationship between Gigachads and Chads. Would Chads admire or resent Gigachads within their hierarchy? Is a Chad a failed Gigachad? I would say a Chad is a Chad, which is supposed to be a fucking like a pedestal position, not a Brad, but a Chad. So a Gigachad would be like their leader, and their leader also has to like be like the alpha, but also sometimes not be the alpha. Like has to play all those roles. So there will be some that resent, but that's the weakness between a Chad and a Giga Chad. Like you'd have to not be able to be bothered by the attention of the
Help
Giga
me,
Chad
Chad. Help me.
to become a Giga Chad.
I think that the phrase Chad came from almost exclusively at first from pure physicality.
Yeah.
It was about having like sunglasses and chiseled jawline and 5 o'clock shadow, but you didn't even fucking notice. That kind of shit.
Well, I don't know if
Um,
that's necessarily true. I mean, think about like the people in like Versailles, those were the fucking wimpiest motherfuckers of all time, but they were spitting rhymes and dunking on people.
Look, I think you guys are arguing about what a Gigachad is, but I think some
I'm arguing
people
about what
just
Chad
know.
is.
Some people know what it is, and some people don't. And clearly, you guys don't know what it is. So can we
Guys,
just fucking
yes,
move on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
Okay.
let's get into the soy side of this conversation. Does it take more strength to be soy in front of others or Gigachad in front of others?
I think it takes more charisma to be Gigachad, and it takes more strength to be soy.
Okay, let me just clean it up a little bit. Soy on purpose. Like you're aware that what you're about to do is going to be perceived as soy, and you're willing to go through the gauntlet of being soy to say your point. You're
Well,
not.
if you load it
Yeah,
like
it-
that,
no, wait,
then
I
then
just-
I'm still gonna say the same thing. I still
I
think
want to
it's strange.
separate it from the triggered example that was given before, like a controlled soy as compared to like a freak out soy. Just so
Sure.
that we're
This
talking
isn't
more
more
of one
okay.
thing.
Well, yeah. If you lead the question, then you're just saying that you have a good understanding of what these words mean. And yeah, we all have a good understanding of what these words mean because we've been having this conversation. The thing that people like makes soy genuine soy, fucking factory grade USD approved soy, is that the thing that's actually driving the car is your emotions. That's what being soy is. Like he's soying out. It's all he's in his emotional, he's in his feels. And the thing, so if you're instead taking a principled popular position against everybody that is having a lot of fun saying like Hitler was right, or like fucking women need to be put in an insane asylum, or like things that are fun to say because they're like Gigachad. It takes resolve. It takes resolve to be the only person who's like above, having their fun and say, you know what, the fun is over. We can just have a real conversation for once. But I don't think that's even being soy at that point. What you've done is you've de-soyed.
Well, no, I get that, but everything is a binary, especially in the world we exist in online. There
we
isn't
all
a
agree it's a
nuance.
spectrum, right?
There isn't a
Soy on one and
nuance.
Gigachan on the other.
Yeah, yes, I think so. I well, because if you're saying Gigachad is like that I'm above it, and soy is the I'm controlled by it, they seem opposite end of the spectrum.
Well, the thing is that a Gigachad presents himself as a Gigachad because he is above it supposedly, but he's not above demonstrating that he's above it. Okay,
I don't know what that is.
Rossi, I
It's
don't know if
funny
you
as
know
fuck.
this, but your roommate is fucking going crazy. Is he playing like Halo fucking Infinite or something?
He's probably just playing League. That's just one of the bonuses of my streams. Every once in a while, you get an outburst. That's my fucking. That's my fucking life. Okay.
That's
I'm
the real
into-
Gigachad.
I'm actually into it. It's really funny. Someone in my chat just said, I think I just agree with this. I feel like it depends on a person. In general, there are difficulties in pretending who you are, but also there are difficulties in showing your true self.
That's okay. I think that Smeth is really, for me, has been hitting this conversation the best for me. Like with the irony bit, and about like hiding behind shit. Like the thing about being soy, is that, or excuse me, the thing about being Gigachad is I really think that they want to have their cake and eat it too. Like they want to be able to say the outrageous opinion, but then they don't want to be held accountable for having said outrageous opinion. Whereas the soy people like really care about their opinion, and they
Well,
want
that's
you to
when
care
they
about their
become
opinion.
soy. They can Gigachad and then soy about what happened after their Gigachad.
Yeah, but that's a cop out because the reality is that you get to pick what direction to go after you leave it up in the air. You basically leave it up in the air with your irony, so you hide behind that. You see how your audience reacted to it, and then you get to decide how you move after that. So that's kind
I
of the
think
benefit of being a Gigachad.
I don't know if I said it out loud earlier, but I was trying to figure out, is there a distinction between an actual Gigachad and a faux Gigachad?
I don't think so.
I mean,
I think
if
the foe is what it is.
I think. Okay, hold on. I
it's a
think.
presentation.
Sorry, you haven't been talking. I'll just shut up.
That was
Okay.
it. It's a presentation.
Okay. I think that there is a difference, but only in theory and philosophy. But in the conversation we're having, we're talking about streamers. And I think that the real Gigachad cannot be a streamer. Like genuinely, like it undermines the actual like Gigachad who's just like the Nietzschean, like naturally just like everybody revolves around them and stuff. Like that person, if that person starts reading chat at all, like they're no longer actually the real Gigachad. So in the context of being a streamer where you are like have an audience and you're like you are subservient to your audience, it's always going to
wait
be
a minute, wait, I'm gonna fuck with you on this because you're now
Let's go.
asserting when Hassan soys out at his chat, he's actually Gigachatting.
No, that's not
No,
true.
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
He's not asserting that. He's asserting the opposite.
If
He
if
said just by looking at the chat, disqualified.
From being a Gigachad.
A real Gigachad.
Like a real Gigachad would like the archetype, the almost because in streaming I think it's actually kind of impossible. Would have to be someone who like streams and everybody's like, wow, you're amazing, and looks up to, is completely self-assured, never reads chat once, or if he does, it doesn't like phase him like at all. Like, so I guess there are streamers that don't really read chat and it doesn't phase them. Like I guess that would be the Gigachad.
Mr. Girl, 4 months into streaming. I mean, like, peak Gigachad. Didn't fucking read chats or super chats or the regular chat. Would have these crazy
Yeah.
interviews, like fucking weird ass opinions. Did not give a fuck. That was real Gigachad.
He lost that though. Like he was
Yes,
that
he
early
did.
on, but now he's yeah.
Yep.
okay, well, speaking
Soyed
of
up pretty heavy.
well, speaking of Max, there, I'll move on to what spurred on this actual panel. Chud was having a stream that ended up becoming a pivotal point in Max's career, and it was the Destiny conversation about Nick Fuentes, and the original purpose of that conversation was supposed to be to discuss the dangers of GigaChat. That, in essence, to like put it in my own words of what I think the argument was, Destiny's refusal to not GigaChad around alt-right people is dangerous, to not be able to show some soy to show that like it's wrong or whatever. That was, I believe, the original concern, that in the age of the GigaChad, we're willing to accept horrific behavior because not GigaChatting at it is soy.
I'd
What's the
have to give
mechanism?
Chud a little
Interesting.
extra credit on that, but if I could just add to that, I think that part of the issue, if I'm going to steelman the fuck out of what Chud was saying, is that if you're going to Giga Chad everybody else, when around everybody else, and then not conservatives, if that's when you pull back and you soy out like a little bitch and you can't even take criticisms about it, now it's a really big fucking problem. This is what the issue is. I like, because he's not complaining about if he doesn't do it once in a while to somebody who's not conservative, but when it happens strictly on one side, that's when it's extra bad. That's all.
I'd be interested in knowing what Chud has to say now, because that was what the age of the Chad thing was Chud's thesis. And honestly, that I would say that more than represents a big moment in Mr. Girl's career. I think the Fuentes thing obviously does because of his YouTube, but I think when I think about the timeline of Chud, that's when he kind of like blew up. And also that's when he like soon after that he started doing his face cam and stuff. Like he grew as a person in a lot of ways. He was more afraid to speak his mind, and then he had this moment. But also I would say that like at the moment he's very Giga Chad. So I would be interested. I would generally like really like to know like what his thoughts on that original Giga Chad thesis is, because it was his.
Brilliant, Smith. That was
He
really
might
good.
have, I think he might have said something, but I don't remember, because I remember when he was reading for 17,000 hours, there was a whole portion that exposed his DMs to Max about that, where he was worried, he was concerned about what Destiny was doing, but also was restricted to not being able to say that publicly because of his image. And that is stifling speech, which to me isn't really Giga Chad, to be worried about something behind the scenes and Giga Chad publicly. But I think that's like, is that the Matrix?
You will
I-
talk
I-
about
Yeah.
it in a moment. Finish your statement.
I think that's part of like the juxtaposition of it all, is it is partially an act that can be limiting. Not just for Chud, for anybody that Giga chats, because if they have this reputation of an expected answer than like deviating to give a fuck or, can totally ruin what you've built.
I think that's what your question is. What does it take more courage to be? I think it's really easy to posture as being this idea of like the Giga Chad, but like when it comes down to it, when it actually comes up to like saying what you actually think is right and all that, I think that it's a really good mask to wear so that you don't have to soy out about something. Because like we know that Chud was like pretty disturbed about the whole Nick Fuentes thing, and he really wanted to bring it up and have that conversation. When the conversation came, he kind of left Mr. Girl out to dry.
Well,
And
I wouldn't define it that way, but I'm not going to argue. I'm
well,
not
he
going
backs
to.
down.
I'm not going to argue Chud. I'm not going to argue Chud's thing here. I could. We could argue that. I just don't find it like. I mean, I guess.
I didn't know it was like that.
Well, so okay, so Chud's, from my understanding, Chud's position was he viewed the conversation. He saw clips, had concerns, then viewed the whole conversation, saw the clips in context, and didn't have the same concerns, and wanted to talk about Gigachad and Soy, but Max made it about Fuentes, which kind of did put him in a place where it was like, I don't even know how to participate.
I remember that, yeah.
I want to underline something here with what Drazi was saying, and I think that there's a decent analogy with this character from the original Matrix. If anybody hasn't seen it, this is sort of the rat, the traitor of the Matrix, and there are two defining scenes of his character. Well, there's more than two, but this and then the contrast. There's a set of scenes on the other side. So this is his Giga Chad moment. This is his I'm above the fake distinction, right? And this is sort of what is going on whenever a person is aware of the toxicity of the culture, but then says, but much ado, there's only one choice.
I think
accept it. Become willing towards it.
I think a lot of people define that as the ultimate soy moment.
Well, that's the point, though. The second moment is the fact that at the end of the day, he is servant to that choice. The moment that you decide that you are going to play by the rules, you have to play by the rules until you die.
Okay, now that takes us all the way back. You're welcome, Will. That takes us to Will's box, actually, which was you're saying that you have to take responsibility for those knowing choices. No, like at each moment that you make that choice, you've got to deal with the future consequences of the choice you knowingly made, Soy or Gigachad.
You become entangled. That's the technical term.
Okay, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Indebted.
Well, not that
enslaved.
I think entangled. I think entangled makes a better metaphor because you're like.
It's the quantum physics term. Just in case anyone was curious.
It's like Biff and McFly. Like they're. I guess that's a bad cucked.
Cucked. Yeah. You do.
Because you let the idea walk into your bedroom and fuck your wife.
Eventually,
a lot of things fucked my wife back then.
Because the soy thing that you're repressing, the soy thing, the person that you're repressing, that like whenever you're like, oh, you're just too sensitive. One of these days you're gonna be sensitive. You know what I mean? And so you're fucking yourself. Like every time you shut that down, you're saying, oh well, you're just not cut out for it. One of these days, it's like the boy who cried wolf. One of these days, like you're gonna see the wolf, and you're gonna be like one of these days, you're gonna be the Jewish streamer that's getting dogpiled by Nick Fuentes or whatever, and getting like mass reported, and you're gonna be like, guys, like this isn't right, this is right, and they'd be like, fucking soy.
Well, but that's the thing. It is at that point, the only reason I would be soy is because I was previously Gigachad. Like if my channel was under attack and I'm like, yo, can somebody help me? That's not fucking soy. But if I was like, look at you bitches always complaining about getting canceled, and then I get canceled. I'm like, yo, can somebody help? That's fucking soy.
Wait, I just realized. I just heard these terms used like 5,000 times. Rapid fire. This is exactly the same thing. We used to have a spectrum of like, that's really fucking badass, and
Yeah.
that's gay.
Yeah.
It's the
I mean,
same exact fucking thing. Soy
True.
is just, that's gay, and being Gigachad is just being badass. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
can define it however we want to define it, but like I think at the end of the day, that's all we're actually saying.
Well,
This
so
is
then,
exactly the same conversations I've heard
Yeah, you're
like
drinking
most of my
gay
life.
milk. It's like gay milk. You're eating bricks of fried gay, right? That's what tofu is. All of it, yeah, it's symbolically always been the same. That's literally why soy was, put in there. Is this idea you're fruity. You're being a little fruity boy.
Soy
Is
is
it-
literally emasculating because it has estrogen in it. You're emasculating yourself. Yeah. So
Which is
that is why
kinda
it is
gay.
it's phallic.
but
Yeah.
that's also, I think the intent of gigachatting is to emasculate the other
Other.
person.
It's
You
to
want to soy
emasculate
them.
Other.
Yeah, the other.
You want to soy them. You want to
Yeah,
make them
that's what I'm
drink the soy
saying.
milk.
Yeah.
Well, masculinity has always been about you being the one with the big dick and them being the fleshlight male that you rape in the middle of the woods. It's always been about dominance. It's always been about making it so that you're the one. That's kind of one of the, like, inside of the cuck thing too, right? The entire thing of the cuck thing, when we talk about someone that is a cuck, they have like become fetishistically okay with the fact that they are a non-dominant male being dominated by another male symbolically through their wife. And when I just thought about the cuck thing now, it is really interesting that there are a couple of situations where, depending on what side of the fence you are on, you will call it either Gigachad
True.
or soy. Most importantly, the act of letting your wife sleep with other men. Is Destiny being soy? He's
Well,
not
just
protecting
anybody
property.
that doesn't give a fuck. Anybody that's like, yeah, my wife is out fucking people. Why should I care? She's happy.
Well, that's the thing. You could take it in one end and say, yeah, that's Gigachad. Oh, he's unbothered. Yeah, he doesn't. He's not bothered by the fact that his wife's sleeping. But then other people will be like, no, he's bothered, but he's suppressing it. And what's actually happening is he's actually being very soy by suppressing it, so on and so forth. It's always like we think we're in their head. We think we know why they are doing what they're doing. And that's why we're able to call someone a Gigachad or call them soy, is that we're like assuming that we know their motivations.
Okay, so we have a cuck to soy to Chad to Gigachad evolution.
Sure.
So let's go back.
Yeah, the thing where it's like the girl who is like wearing like a gray sweater and she has like brunette hair and a ponytail, and then she like bends over and like finds like a piece of lipstick, and then she becomes Pamela Anderson bit by bit. It's the same thing, but instead it's like
The evolution of man, yeah, to the pretty funny. That's pretty funny. But at the same time, the Overton window changes constantly, or the viewpoint makes Gigachad. But go back to the idea.
To yesterday's Gigachad is tomorrow's soy.
Yeah.
I think you guys missed the main thing that I was trying to point out when I said it used to be gay and badass. The entire fucking frame here is soy as fuck. We're using different words to navigate around fucking PC.
Yeah, fucking get over yourself and call it gay, you fucking cuck.
Wait.
True.
I thought you were gonna say the F slur.
Wait,
I thought you were gonna.
You're thinking this boils down to a PC conversation?
No,
why did we
just
why did we
in,
stop
in
saying,
one way.
Everybody pretty much agreed when I said that it's just the same thing as when we used to say that's gay or that's badass, right? But the reason
Yeah,
why
but
we
it was the
don't do
same
that
as when
anymore
we
is because you
said-
get in trouble for saying that's gay now. Because
You could say
what's
it's
wrong
the
with
same
being
as saying,
gay?
that's weak and that's dope, or like you're just picking any two polar words and
Yeah,
saying
exactly.
we're not using those words.
I'm picking the
and that
most
makes us-
colloquially used words for these things
I
throughout
just
my
disagree.
entire life growing up. these are the things that I've heard more for this thing, more than anything else.
So confirmation of a homophobic upbringing. Okay, fine.
Okay.
It was in our media all over the place. People would call.
I mean,
things
I went to
gay.
middle school
There
too,
was
you know?
commercials
I mean,
to dissuade people from
just...
saying it.
But, okay, but why is it that today we don't call things gay and badass? It's because the reality is that we're just using gay
Because
to
gay people
substitute
rape
weak,
now.
and...
Because
Yeah,
gay
because
people
it's
started
shitty.
doing
Exactly.
Gay people started being alpha in prison.
I think that generally, people that are being soy, they are generally more honest because they have more of an incentive to be honest because they don't get any other benefit from being soy.
Not based on the other. See, that's where I'm saying is that the one portion of the definition of soy is like being triggered, and being triggered is the exact opposite of being in control. So that's why I tried to say I don't want to use the triggered soy. I want to use the, I'm in control and I'm choosing to not Gigachad. I'm going to have the actual conversation that I'm going to get mocked for, that they're going to call soy, but I don't perceive as soy. But the soy, does it matter if I perceive I'm soy or not if I'm to be soy?
That's
No,
what Jesus said. That's
I
what
see what you're
Jesus
saying.
said.
That is
So-
what Jesus said.
Jesus dared to be soy. Jesus dared to be soy.
So
Alright,
WWJD
Jesus
soy.
died for your soyness.
But
I'm
I think
curious,
that still
like-
makes you
sorry.
it still makes you soy though, because you're still being genuine. Go ahead.
If they're like, okay, so we had that all the senators and stuff interviewing that guy from TikTok, the CEO or whatever. And like, the Republicans are interviewing this guy. They don't even know what like a wireless modem is, and they think that they're giga-chatting this guy, answering him all these tough questions and shit. Whereas I look at it and I'm thinking, wow, like this guy is just a complete fucking moron, blah blah blah. But I know like internally that guy thinks he's going hard. Like, how does that play into this whole GigaChad thing? Like, he thinks that he's a GigaChad. I do not think he is. Who gets to determine, like, who is a GigaChad and who isn't? What is that
Can you have an
factor?
example? Can you give an example? Like what? Like Trump or?
It's the court of public opinion.
It's
His
just
opinion-
identity. It's part of it's what you think. That's how it's going to reflect to you, and part of it's what other people think. If you think you're, I feel like if you think you're giga chatting on somebody really hard, then that it may or may not be the case. But if you think you're being a soy little bitch, everybody probably agrees with you.
Does being soy
One's a lot
always
harder
have
to
to be
achieve.
negative?
In this framing in this space, I think it almost always is, but I would normally contest that.
Well, the way you just said that, does being soy always have? I'm just fucking with you. I'm just fucking with you. I'm
pretty
doing
funny.
the gig. I'm sorry.
That was pretty funny.
Big puppy dog eyes.
That just reminded me of the letter, Kenny. That's the
God.
softest thing you've ever
Well,
said.
No, it was good. Like, but I think that was a soy thing to say, but that moved the conversation forward, and I just shut it down by being GigaChad.
Well, that's
Why-
that's the question.
why was it soy?
Does
It was soy.
GigaChat
It was a genuine
Cared.
question, and it's I think you're actually asking a question, and you're emotionally present in the conversation.
So GigaChad there's always this like dissonance you need to have when you're trying to be a GigaChad. There's and do you have to
I think
know
so.
that there's this dissonance?
I don't think you have to know it. I think some people are just like like a lot to be a man, to be like a stereotypical man, like with a stereotypical toxic masculinity. It's just natural. You naturally repress your emotions like that.
Probably fair.
Somebody in my chat just said, soy, you're worried about the perception of others and what's right from the perspective of yourself or your friend group, which generally leads to a built narrative. So, but performing as like your GigaChad is exactly that too, though. So I think that it really comes down to your internal sense and what other people think at the same, like it's both of those things. And depending on the lens, you're going to get a different framing of it.
It's the superiority of caring versus the superiority of not caring. That's what I'm talking about with that like cultural recorrection. There was a period of time where it's like, you guys don't care enough. This is really, really important. And now it's like everybody cares way too much. Nothing is important. That's the thing.
Which
Does being
I'm
a
sure,
Gigachad
I'm
require
sure
irony?
originated from a you don't care enough. Like there will always be that back and forth of like the Newton balls, where until somebody says, I'm not going to fight back, then like the oppositions will always continue. Like you have to fight when you're playing hockey, you have to catch it by cradling it, not by going towards it. And Soy and Gigachad tend to just be oppositional. And so there's no moving forward of that. So like it will always swing back and forth until that somehow changes. So regardless of whether it's internal, external, if Soy is I have to correct the Gigachad and Gigachad is these fucking Soys, how do you ever move anywhere? Like that's where that oppositional force is constant. Jesus. Gay virtue signaling? Is that what you just drew?
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get to a point where the only thing that anybody the only thing that anybody can care about at all anymore is like whether or not there's a gun against their fucking head. That's the absolutism of like not caring is the only thing. The only thing that can matter is like whether you're in a life or death situation. And on the other hand, the only thing that's allowed to not matter is being inside of like this like dominant class of like people that are purely evil or something. I think that's also another thing that was unrecognized, which is that nobody, maybe I'm wrong here, nobody black is calling themselves Giga Chad or calling each other Giga Chad. This is a white male thing. This is a new thing that is like coming out. It's mostly happening in our space. It's also a nerd thing. It's not an actual Chad thing. Like, what is this actually? It's like wrestling. It's kind of like we're talking about people that have wrists that look like this, that have facial hair that is patchy as ours are. It's people that have girlfriends that have the number of boyfriends that our girlfriends have. That's what it is.
I want to correct you on something, just to save you from racism. But you made this paradigm of like, you know, blacks wouldn't say that, and that made sense to me. But then you said it's also a nerd thing. Like, there's such
right,
a massive
Vegeta,
black nerd culture.
Vegeta, you're right. Dragon Ball Z, you're right. I take it back.
And
There are
Naruto.
some black people are white. You are correct.
Okay.
I don't know where to go with that.
Okay, address the underlying point, because I'm like being jovial, or I'm not jovial. I'm like talking in a joking tone, but like I'm making I think the most relevant point. Why is everybody fucking obsessed with being Giga Chad? It's because nobody here is Chad. It's like an artificial hierarchy of unbothered.
I disagree. I disagree. I think it is a self-esteem thing more than a reality thing. I don't think Chad is based in physical appearance anymore. Neither is Giga Chad. I think it's based, you know, in a lot of other factors. Go
You're
ahead.
I
putting
agree
out
with
the
both.
energy
I
as
agree
though
with
you have the
both of you.
physique.
I agree with both of you. Okay, I think that they're. I don't like kind of Tuna is sort of implying, not really saying, but he's implying that there used to be a time when people were more Giga Chad or more Chad, and now everybody's sort of drifting, or maybe there's a separate culture where people are more Chad, or maybe he's not. Okay, but that I was imagining that like there's this separate like, oh, this Chad's over here, but we're all doing this fake Giga Chad thing. But I think that there really is no Chad. And if you were Chad, you wouldn't know it. And
Back to the
yeah, like
Matrix.
it's really just I think that people are becoming more and more aware of their own insecurities, and people are more and more insecure. I think people are probably more insecure now than they ever have been in any moment of history. So like with the internet and shit, and with streaming and streamers especially, and that's why streamers are so obsessed with this Gigachads shit. So I think it has to do with being aware of your insecurities, and rather than having emotional emotional intelligence to be able to handle your insecurities, you're just you're just being dismissive, you're lashing out, and that's what people are resorting to. I think the way forward is to teach people some emotional skills.
Well,
I
instead
feel
of
like
teach people, let's say if I was going to avoid being inauthentically Gigachad, like trying to be Gigachad, not doing something that is authentically me, and people are like, oh shit, Gigachad. Like those two things are very different. Like existing your reality is going to be at times soy and at times Gigachad. And giving a fuck about the perception is the problem. Like on both sides, whether it's being Gigachad or being soy, worrying about how, like, being that behavior based on how you're going to be perceived is technically inauthentic.
yeah, I think there's this idea now. There's internal and external Gigachad. So like I think even within this conversation, we're all kind of Gigachad in a way. Like none of us are really doing this for like a bunch of views. Like we're all like doing this because I think we all like it internally. Like we're all driven by something to make us want to have this conversation. But people are like on the outside are gonna watch this conversation and be like, wow, what a bunch of soy boy nerds fucking talking about their
Absolutely.
feelings and shit.
Absolutely.
But in my
Well,
mind,
no,
I'm like,
I
I'm
mean,
just
but
a
also
Gigachad.
keep
I don't
going,
fucking
keep
care
going,
about
no,
those
keep
people.
going.
Like, fuck them, you know? Really.
Well,
Who gives a
but
shit
again,
what
what
those
I-
fucking
There,
people
you
think?
wouldn't
Yeah,
say it if you
listen,
didn't care.
listen to what you're saying. Your answer is rooted in how they are going to behave.
Yes. So there's like the way that you feel internally about yourself. And that is something that only the person can know, whether or not they're being a real Gigachad or not. And then there's just the way that the audience is going to perceive the way that you're doing that.
You nailed it. That's what I've been trying to say. It's like identity. Part of it is what you guys see. Part of it is what I feel when I'm doing what I do.
I don't think you can be Gigachad. I don't think you can be soy. I think those are things that are assigned based on the perception of the viewer. You could soy out, or you could like do a Gigachad, but I don't think you can be Gigachad. Like I don't think you can live your life like the lumberjack that shoots TikToks and does edits. That's not Gigachad.
Why?
Because it's all perception. Gigachad would be like, I don't need to fucking edit this thing. I'm just gonna put this thing up. And they're not gonna be like, oh, like and subscribe, by the way, for updates. They're just gonna be like, this is what I do. Like
I
Someone
Rob
else
just described
filmed-
my YouTube
someone-
to a T.
Someone else films the Gigachad. The Gigachad doesn't even film themselves.
yeah,
doesn't have
true.
doesn't have selfies. Have anybody noticed like girls, any that are in the audience, all one of you, and it's by self-identity alone, when you're looking through like
Of
Tinder.
my ch- is
Okay, I was
Okay.
speaking. Okay, you know what I'm saying. Now, I got you in the second half. When you're scrolling through the phone on like Tinder or something, if a guy has too many selfies and not enough pictures taken by somebody else, women are less attracted. That's a clear example of the same thing. There is something about being unbothered, detached. Oh, you know, I take it easy. Oh, I take it as it comes. There's somebody, I have to remember the fucking YouTuber. She's soy in her own right. She made this YouTube video about how she thinks that the big thing that's been learned by Gen Z from millennials is this idea of detachment. Detachment as like this cultural thing is so important as a part of a sexual ritual, but then that also moves on towards our like homosocial relations, where the goal in the antagonistic relationship of early dating is to be the one who cares less.
To
Oh,
move,
I don't think
to
that this is
move
accurate.
through the world, but be independent of the good opinion of others.
But like, I think let's go back to the lumberjack example. Like, let's say you're the lumberjack and you do the editing, right? Whatever, and like he joins this call, so we're talking to the lumberjack, and we're like, lumberjack, it is so soy that you edit your fucking videos and you go cut wood and bullshit and then make montages and put it on TikTok. You're such a soy for doing that. And then he looks at you and he goes, huh, I make millions of dollars, kid. The fuck you know
That's
about
fucking
this?
soy.
I'm gonna go chop
That's
wood.
fucking
See you
soy.
later. No, it's not.
Gigachad
That's
go-
Gigachad. No, that's so
It is
Gigachad. He
Gigachad.
came in here and
It
you
is
said,
Gigachad.
you think I'm soy, you little bitch? I'm
Nope.
gonna go chop some wood
Gigachad-
and make money, you asshole, while you
but
sit
the-
here
No.
and talk to your fucking nerd friends. Bye,
I just
If
Gigachad.
he was truly, if
Like,
he was
what do you
truly
mean?
Chad,
no,
if he was truly a Chad, not a Gigachad, what he would do is we call him and
that
would
would
be
have been
like,
a Chad move, actually.
no, that
that's
would
a
not
Chad
have been a
move.
Chad move.
Yes,
The
yeah,
Chad move-
Gigachad
I-
would
I
have been
would've-
like, "What is your name, ma'am? Ma'am, what is your name?" That would have been Gigachad. Gigachad would have been like, "Who are you, ma'am?"
That's basically what he's doing. But
no,
like,
he's
no,
bragging
I'm
about
gonna-
himself, doing puffery. It's like to prove to
That's-
you he is something. He doesn't
That's
need to prove.
Gigachad.
Gigachad doesn't need to prove he's something.
No, the Giga Chad is the fake one. I'm saying the real Chad with the like actual guy who like actually doesn't care. What he would have come in for if he actually wanted to join this fucking call and talk to us, what he would say is like, and he'd be like listening to our feedback and he's like, huh, well, or he'd just be like, oh, I really don't agree, and then just leave.
Then
I
what
think
would
we
it
could
be
come up-
if I called him a pussy when he came in and said
Okay,
that?
the point being is that the guy doing the thing on TikTok, I don't think he is.
If
Oh,
there
hold
are
on, what the
Chads,
fuck is going on?
You wanted to keep the yellow ones?
Yeah.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
He's gonna come back and be, see, I'm such a Gigachad. I didn't even
I-
mute.
I got him.
I hope
I
that
got
they
him.
don't say anything that.
I got him. I got him. I muted him. We're good now.
Good call.
No way. Doesn't, you know.
But I just think that, like, in all seriousness, I was having some fun earlier, but in all serious, like, being who you are, absent of being swayed by others, and I think with what you said, Will, being somebody that has to give your credentials to embarrass somebody else, I think isn't, to me, Gigachad, because you're trying to prove who you are to
Okay.
do something to somebody else.
Internal or external
Dana, we
Gigachad?
can
Because
hear
I
you
think
now, by
that
the way.
guy,
Oh, I
he
know.
would literally just be like, bye bye losers, and he would hang up and he would go do his thing and he'd have a good time
Well,
in his
He
mansion.
wouldn't
Like,
have
and
come
he's
on the
thinking
fucking, oh,
in the
Yes.
hypothetical, right? Like, yeah, all
Right.
the people in the chat would be like, oh, haha, soy loser, you had to come on here and justify your milk, blah, 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 blah. But he does not give a shit. He's just doing this shit for fun. That is the real Gigachad. Like,
Wait, when you guys say the real Gigachad, I thought we already established that there is like the real
Yeah,
Gigachad is a poser.
No,
There is
no.
This is what my finger was up for.
yeah,
Spence.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
There are
Okay.
two different uses, and both people are like, okay, one. Okay, you currently F-bombs. You're using Gigachad as if meaning like so Chad that you're the Chad of the Chads, but most other
Yeah.
people are talking about it from like this, like to act Gigachad is to put on the mask. It's because you're weak and you're putting on airs.
Okay.
Hyper reality of Chadness.
Yeah, there are very few people, and even less so online, that are actually like the GIF of the dude that we call Giga Chad. That guy didn't even know that he was a fucking GIF. Okay, somebody told him,
Well,
and he had no fucking idea
exactly.
because he doesn't use the internet because he's too busy getting pussy. All right,
It's
there are
not
very
true.
few people.
That's not true.
It's
I
not
added the last
true.
part. I added the last part.
Well,
But
it's
there
also
are very
no,
few people that are that like
about the images. His girlfriend literally photoshopped them to look like
I did
that.
read
But
that.
keep going.
Well, then I got bad information. All right, fuck it. Anyways, there are very few people that emulate that level of masculinity online, period. So I think the idea is that they are emulating, they are borrowing from the idea of that level of masculinity, which is not caring, being what we would generally like in my life just call cool. 90% of this is being cool. The same words that people have been describing Gigachad as throughout this entire conversation, being cool. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just doing my own thing. I give a fuck less. But there's another part is what you're taking that kind of attitude and you're using it against somebody else.
But it's like people think Channing Tatum is cool, but he's just like a vicious drug addict, an alcoholic. You know what I mean? Like, so is he really a
vicious
Gigachad?
drug addict and alcoholic not cool.
All right, so
Nothing
can we
says I don't give a fuck like getting drunk
Just-
and beating your wife. Am I right?
just for the sake of the conversation and for the audience, and maybe if we're creating or helping creating a dialect here when we're talking about these words, when we say Gigachad, we're talking about like the performance of being cool. Like not like the maybe like the Chad is the real one, but we're talking about Gigachad as the performance.
Yes. Giga Chad is a persona of Chadness taken on by someone that is usually not a Chad.
Okay. All right. I
Okay.
We
The
agree with
hard-
you then.
the hard if we're using that definition, okay, I'll stick with that. It's just tough because to me, there is the perception of Gigachad is what makes it like I just think you behave and other people decide it's Gigachad or soy. And so if you're performatively acting to be Gigachad, and that's what we're calling Gigachad, okay. If go ahead.
They're identifying it in others because they wish to embody it. It's an ecosystem,
Okay.
right? So on the receptive end, when you're saying, "Oh, that's Giga Chad," what you're really trying to say is like, "Oh, I want to embody that."
Okay. Okay.
Oh, okay, absolutely. Do I need to lock up real quick then?
I can take that. I can make sense with that.
Okay,
It's not the behavior of the person. It's like the desire of the observer. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
they're playing off of the audience in order like if in a different ecosystem, the same person that's being Gigachad would act a totally different way because they're trying to look good and trying to look cool.
Tuna,
So-
I want to just say back to you what I think I heard is you have somebody like Abba and Preach who could be being openly misogynistic, which is likely some sort of putting on an act.
Yeah, of
And
course.
then somebody views it and says Giga Chad because they think that would be cool to be misogynistic like that.
So the way that the ecosystem with something like that works, specifically the like alpha male content, is that they have something that the audience doesn't have, an ineffable quality, so that's why they're being watched. There's something about them. Now the argument, is it money? Is it looks? Is it riz? Nobody really knows. So what they're doing is they're studying their behavior. They're figuring out what they think is that ineffable thing, and they're calling it Giga Chad. And then later they perform it. They're trying to fake it till they make it, of sorts, right? That's the point.
Okay, so using Giga Chad as like the performative from an evolution of some sort of wanting to be more or insecurity.
Yeah, it's just, modeling. It's modeling. You're looking for people and you're trying to figure out those things, and you're like, what can I do? It's kind of like how kids do when they're like embodying wrestlers, remember?
Yeah.
Like that was all about being Giga Chad too. And it's also why Gold Dust, no one was calling Gold Dust Giga Chad, but if you look back, you could claim that Gold Dust was the most Giga Chad because he was, like I said before, part of that like unapologetically, like, I guess he was like an unapologetic gay rapist. That was sort of what Gold Dust was. And it's just like, but oh, he's gay, but he's so gay that it's Giga Chad. It's like, it's a really what made him subversive.
You know, if with this framework, if we can actually dismantle the whole fucking it's different with women because we're framing everything within like a male context. And I think the streaming space and everything is kind of really dominated by men. And we're all thinking about the term Chad. We're talking about men. But if you think about a movie like Mean Girls, you can think about Giga Chatting in a totally different context. The performative coolness to meet the expectations of what people think is cool. So like what a mean girl might do that's Giga Chat is be like, oh my god, I love your shoes, and then you turn around and look at your friend. And like she's just saying that she's actually insulting you or whatever. Like that's a totally different performance of coolness from the masculine performance.
Yeah, being a bitch.
Sure, but
But-
in the
but no, no.
in the Mean Girls circle, it's Giga Stacy in the Mean Girls circle.
Many women, and it's really popular, especially with like your like sort of Tumblr feminista kind of thing, which has moved on to Instagram as of recently. Proud to be a bitch. That's the point. That's the Giga Chat of females. Yeah, I'm a bitch. I'm that bitch. It's one of the fucking things going on with all of that Beyonce shit too. Yeah, I do own slave labor. Oh yeah, I do have a sweatshop. Fucking John Cena.
The use of the word that in front of it, like that N-word, that bitch, like that, whatever, like to say you're the that, it means you're the one that's separate from the rest. I'm actually that bitch. You know what I mean? I'm the real bitch, you know? Yeah.
I'm the bitch everybody wants to be. That's what it yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Biggest pussy in the room. Fucking loudest clapping lips in the whole goddamn
Yeah.
floor. When the beat drops, they still hear my ass claps.
The funny thing is this just will always keep going in a circle, especially because if it is a binary, all the definitions we gave for GigaChad work for soy and vice versa. Like the performative side is soy, knowing that you're taking a stance that is going to be yelled at isn't necessarily GigaChad. It's not necessarily soy. Like if you're like, yay, Hitler was good, that's not GigaChad. But like
it could be depending on the
who says.
If you do that on Cozy TV, that it might be Giga Chad. Or honestly, if you do that even like on
no,
Twitter,
I'm going back
like
to the
Kanye,
definition I was just given.
doing it. Kanye.
The definition I was just given, which is it's performative.
It's performative.
Performatively saying that Hitler is good isn't Giga Chad in reality. It's like performative.
There's no reality. We're talking in the context of like what people think. So like within a certain social group, like it's going to work different. That's why I said like within like the Mean Girls social group, like it's just whatever is the coolness within wherever you are.
It's cyclical. Like the viewer is going to determine it.
There's a way out.
Okay.
There's a way out of samsara. It's called enlightenment, an actual detachment. We've already, this is the ascetic, there is an ascetic way out of this, because this is all just neurotic desire.
So self-actualization.
Huh?
Self-actualization.
Well, yeah, if you want to be Western about it.
Sorry. I'm old. That's all I know is Maslow. That's all I know. I'm old.
Colonizer.
I'm fucking old. What do you want from me?
I'm so glad. When you said self-actualization, I was like, thank God you turned it away from the whatever bullshit he was saying. You made it something I can actually.
Well, there's an old quote I heard from Wayne Dyer who was quoting somebody else, which was learning how to be independent of the good opinion of others and doing what drives you to do what you do. That's the only way out of it all. If not, you're just going to be stuck in what you just said. Like you're just going to be in this endless perception wheel instead of independent.
Counterpoint. What if all you are is a sniveling rat? What if all you are is a tit-suckling child? Because that's what's happening to a lot of people.
But then that's what you are, but only if you accept it. And most people that are tit-suckling rats aren't going to be actualized.
Oh my god, it's so fucking funny. Jesus Christ.
Well, here's the thing. I think that in the act of...
Is Krause still here? Where'd he go?
Yeah, he's lifting weights, see?
Sorry.
The act of be accepting your tit-suckling rat status almost like elevates you above tit suckling rat, like in a way, like you're growing in that.
That's awareness.
Yeah, as soon as you're aware,
self-awareness before self-actualization.
like I'm thinking, I'm literally imagining a guy with I'm imagining like a fat Discord mod guy, you know, and he's like rubbing up, like he's got like a giant baby bottle and he's like got a diaper on, and he's humping it, and he's got like a rat nose on. But like that guy, he's like, I'm a fucking tit sucking rat, and he's loving it. But like in embracing it, he's like honestly like he's reached nirvana. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
He's
yes.
self-actualized, you know. So
Independent of the good opinion. Yes, that makes so much sense. He's just like, okay, all right.
Okay,
yeah.
somebody get Brittany Simon in here, because I'm telling you right now, we've been talking about the levels for the last 5 minutes, right?
Oh god.
That's the person that becomes aware of becoming a tit suckling rat. That's a 3. And then you have to choose: are you going to move towards enlightenment, or are you going to become Gigachad, which is a 2? That's why she's a 2. Yada yada.
It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like not.
It was
not,
the whole
not,
time.
Not hers.
Well, hold on. Do I need to remind you that you well, let's not go into it, that you are taking the work of a woman away from her and giving credit to a man just because he came up with the idea first?
Is Chud Logic
See,
a Chad
that would
or a
be-
Gigachad?
That would be soy. That would be soy. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna give my like. I'm not. This isn't high school. I can't
course,
sit here and rate my.
Of course he's a Gigachad. He's a performer and he knows it, and he says all the time it's about the content, and I don't think he would even disagree. Like I don't think that like that's his thing is being a Gigachad. But the only thing that's insulting about that is the fact that his thesis was the Gigachad thing. So I want to know like where his thoughts are on the Gigachad thesis, because he was the one who kind of started that conversation.
Well,
Is
but wait a
Mr.
minute.
Girl Chad,
Chud's-
Gigachad, or Soy?
If Chud is open and honest about saying this is about entertainment and it's a show, then that's not performative giga chatting. It's like just authentically entertaining.
No,
Like,
that's in the moment while you're doing the thing, though. You don't.
It's
Like,
performative.
it is a performance while you're doing it, and then when you pull back the curtain and you do the interview, then you're, admitting to the thing. That's its own thing. But like while you're doing it, you're not going. He's not saying, guys, before I say the N-word, just remember I'm doing this because it's a good bit of fun. Like that's what he says afterwards. It's a totally separate thing.
We're
Also,
just memeing.
Mr. Girl is soy right now. Mr. Girl is soy right now because of the report. The report was like appealing towards like, oh, this man has done this, and this, and saying this person's morally unrighteous. Now you could say that it was a brave thing to do, but at the same time, it was itself like
There is nothing more soy than complaining.
It
Well,
became
but the thing is,
personal,
though-
not productive.
Yeah.
But when people come at you and they're like, they're trying to give you advice for fucking 4 months or 6 months on something, and you literally take every single piece of advice that you're given and you throw it in the fucking trash, and you just make the thing that
Yeah.
you want to make. Is that not Gigachad? Or Chad, excuse me?
Kinda.
Or it could be sour grapes at the same time.
Let me agree with part of you guys and disagree with part of you guys. Putting out the article, pretty Giga Chad. Every interview, maybe save for Will's, that he had since then, is the soyest shit I've ever seen in my entire fucking life.
Yeah, super soy.
No, putting out the article absolutely is soy. It's not a performative thing. It's like his genuine complaining.
The contents is soy, but the act of doing it anyways, bombing your fucking career, telling half of your fan base they can get fucked.
No, I disagree. I think he got pot committed and didn't know what to do. He couldn't walk away. How do you just
Well,
say?
the way I
had he
framed
is-
it, it's pretty fucking Giga Chad.
Yes, if that was the reality. But I think there was a point where he probably could have realized this is a bad idea and moved on, which would have been wise.
Yeah,
This
definitely.
is the guy who said he didn't want to comment on how like Chud's internal processes are.
But I did. But I fucking did. But I did it anyway.
Guys, was it Soy or Gigachad when when Jesus sacrificed himself for our sins?
Jesus was caught.
Soy.
That's all.
Was he, or was
Soy
was
as fuck. He just did what his dad said.
this is number? You know what?
A
You're
real
the
Chad would have stayed dead.
a real Chad would have karate chopped those fucking freaks in the head when they tried to fucking put the nails in his hand.
I don't think it's Soy to be like, come on, Dad, please send me back. Please, come on.
You know, I'm a steel man
Forgive them, they
Jesus,
know
you
not
know,
what they
dying
do.
dying for all of our sins so that we could still like drink and fuck bitches and still go to heaven's pretty based. So I
That
think it's
sounds
pretty
pretty
Giga Chad.
SJW, actually. If you
The
think
based cringe thing is a whole separate conversation. Don't open that can of worms.
Oh yeah, that honestly is a real fucking different. Yeah.
He was just
Tune in
that's
to the
just
next
slut
exciting
shaming.
episode of What the Fuck Are They Talking About? Cringe.
Yikes. Fucking yikes.
Cringe versus beta. Take all of the different diminutives against one another. That's the final bracket.
Fucking funny. A tier list.
There's
All
just
right.
all these different frameworks from which you can dismiss someone. You can say they're cringe. You can say that they're soy. Yeah.
Can we
You call
run through
them-
some other content creators and ask if they're how they fall on the spectrum? Like how do we think about Destiny? See a Chad?
Oh, he falls on. He
Giga
falls
Chad,
on the
soy.
spectrum. He falls on the spectrum.
He falls on a
Of
lot
what?
of spectrums.
There you go. That was quick. I was still trying to formulate that one out.
Oh,
Because you're on the same spectrum.
What about Wick? Is he a
Yeah,
Chad?
Spectrum wire-
Is he soy?
Say
do we
what?
think? What about Wick? Is he soy, Chad, Giga Chad?
I'm gonna soy Wick. When he was saying, "Don't really tell me what to do. Look at my numbers." That's what I mean. When you have to defend yourself by giving your credentials or whatever, I think you've fallen into the trap. But if you just do what you want to do, and you're like, "Yeah, you feel that way. Okay, thanks."
Centrism
I
is
think-
centrism is inherently soy. And like coming from a person that is relatively moderate himself, like that is the point of it, is to be like unabashedly soy. Keep going.
That was
I
dumb.
think it's really hard if we're talking about streamers because, like I was saying before, I think that every streamer falls on the Giga Chad spectrum by virtue of streaming itself.
I do
I was
think
gonna
it
say
takes.
Wick depends on the day.
Well, no, I don't think so. Like when you, Drazi, when you don't feel like it, you still make a choice, which takes like you're not controlled by I owe it to them to stream, right?
No,
Correct.
he streams when I tell him to stream.
How about President Sunday? Chad, soy, Giga Chad.
Giga soy. a person who's like in action of being Giga Chad is through leaning really deeply into soyness.
I actually don't feel comfortable commenting on the chat or soyness of mentally handicapped people. So I'm gonna refrain from.
Hold on.
But yeah, you did all the other ones. That's weird.
Okay, hold
Whoa.
on.
Why?
Hold on,
Because he's
President-
gay?
Yeah, but
President-
he's mentally handicapped in the kind of way.
No,
Like pat him on the
he's-
head way.
He's not stupid.
Yeah.
Like he's very different. He has a very different mind than most people, obviously, but he's not a stupid guy.
One could claim a beautiful mind.
How
Yeah.
about
Look, the man said when he was a kid he collected books because they were symmetrical, not because he liked to read them. Okay, that's all I gotta fucking say about that.
I got two more. Ben
Okay,
Shapiro,
Brad.
Giga Chad or soy?
Soy.
Ben Shapiro, soy?
I think Ben Shapiro.
I can
don't know.
explain, but go ahead. I'd rather go last.
Is punching a little kid in the face Giga Chad?
Do you deserve
No,
it?
that's just Chad.
Okay, well then he's
It's,
Chad.
it's a thing that somebody from the nation of Chad would do. I think that Ben Shapiro grifters operate
Is
on a
that
different.
racist?
Is Ben Shapiro racist? Yes, absolutely. I'm choosing to understand your question that way. No, Ben Shapiro. When you have that much money, when it's that much money, you really have to. And you kind of leaned into this earlier, F-bombs. When it's like there is a thing where are you doing it for the attention or are you doing it for the cash? Because the cash converts to everything you've ever wanted in your entire life. If I was Ben Shapiro, I would be going harder than him. I'd be more racist. I'd be more sexist.
That's why he's not Gigachad. He's just Chad. Because
you're
he
right.
because he hires Matt Walsh and Knowles and other people to do the work he can't do himself because he has to keep his image cleaner.
Well, it's because he's been slowly but surely. So actually, if you don't already know this, Ben Shapiro spent the last 15 years creating a back catalog of every potential political thing that would happen. And over those 15 years, he's been taking estrogen and he's been pretending to be that other woman version of him. That's actually live streamed. That's live streamed. Everything that you think is Ben Shapiro is actually recording from the last 15 years back catalog.
Why wouldn't they just
Wow.
AI it?
Why wouldn't they just say, well, they don't have that technology. The Jews
Not
keep
with
it.
the money they just gave away.
What
No, that's
about
Fox, my bad.
last one? J.K. Rowling, Soy, Gigachad, Chad.
I hate these. It's so hard for me.
I really don't have enough knowledge to have an opinion on her.
I'm still
That's-
finishing. And I don't
I
even
mean,
know.
we have enough knowledge to I understand what he's asking through the lens of.
Yeah,
he's
but, like-
saying is all the things that people call her transphobic for, if her putting herself out there and saying all that shit and taking all that shit and not backing down and still doing that.
I mean,
is
you'd have to
that
call. you'd
Gigachad
have
or
to
is it
call-
soy?
If
Is she
she's out
conceding
there,
to her fucking transphobic feelings, or is she standing up
if,
against
if she
what
is
she
out
perceives
there,
to be
okay, shut up,
retarded
shut up. I
masses?
got it. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
if
tell him to
she's-
shut up.
Okay, shut up.
If she's out there sim citying Turf Island, that's probably Gigachad.
She has enough money, I think, that we can't really say that it's necessarily soy or Gigachad. I think that it breaks the paradigm. When we talk about these really, really rich people, like that's just actual Chad, not Gigachad. Like she can do whatever the fuck she wants, right?
Sure, but like that may be true, but like just for I want to say something and just ignore that and then talk about that next. Okay, so like just forget about that and okay, she's a good example of how it's really hard to know, especially with when we're talking about people from like very different spheres of like the internet with different like different audiences, because the way we would be able to know if she's being soy or Gigachad is no. If she's being Gigachad, it means that the core people around her that she wants to impress all really like the shit that she has to say. So if those are the people that she cares about, if she cares about the turfs and like those are the people she respects, then she's being Gigachad maybe. But like so if she's being soy if like she's like saying it in the face of the people she respects. So if the people she respects are like the trans activists or something, and she's saying, look, I just don't think that a trans person is a trans woman is a woman, then she's being soy by complaining to them. But if she's taking the stance because she wants to be performatively cool for the turfs, then she's being a Gigachad.
She seems to be leaning into it in the way that a Gigachad would. Like she's not being very like emotional and talking about her feelings while she does it. I think that's an easy like distinguisher, right? She's talking about it from the idea of like women deserve these spaces. She's not even doing that one actually. That's the people around her. Above all things, she's just like making matter of fact statements. I think that we could if we have to make a choice, it's going to be Gigachad. Based on that paradigm, if we're talking,
I agree.
who's she appealing to? She's
agree.
just appealing to the raw aesthetic. That being
Who do we-
said, why is she doing it?
Who do we
Drazi?
think is the most Gigachad in
Wait,
this panel right
Drazi,
now?
what did you say?
I didn't say anything.
Yeah,
I
J.K.
already
Rowling.
said.
Give your
It's
answer,
kind of
motherfucker.
it's kind of tough
I
to say
did.
because it's super hard to say. I was kind of with Tuna when he said kind of breaks the paradigm because there's a lot to be gained and there's a lot to be lost there. It's super fucking hard to say, but there's no way that this fucking woman hasn't lost an insane amount of money and she kept saying what she was saying no matter what, because like she's been like removed from her own fucking franchise as a fucking safeguard from her. So I would have to say probably leans towards Gigachad, but it's a much more complicated kind of situation here.
That was for making Hermione black, actually. Jokes aside. And I'm the one that removed her. No, so I think that we can think of it as like a game of it's kind of like when rich people start fucking hunting endangered animals. I think that
Humans.
life is so boring once you've made it that you need to start playing with the most dangerous game, and you find an opportunity for it. So like what's that stupid movie, Uncut Gems? Was he being soy? Was he being Giga Chad when he's like,
I haven't
putting
watched
massive
it.
amounts
I
of
haven't
money?
watched it. I'm gonna mute.
Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Was Smeth being soy or Giga? No.
Un-
Just
un-
fucking say it. Just
okay,
fucking
yeah.
say it. Just
The
fucking
whole
say
okay, it's about a person who's fucking addicted to gambling. But why are people addicted to gambling? They're addicted to the rush because their life doesn't give them any fucking excitement anymore. I think that most rich people doing crazy fucking shit are just playing big game. That's all I think it really is for them. And I don't think that that fits into the Stacy, that doesn't fit into the Chad, that doesn't fit into the soy or the beta or the gay. I think it's really, really just like they're in a different world than us.
Yeah, but to me, it matters what game they're playing. So, like, I think that performativity is like just the central thing of what makes it a Giga Chat. And if the game you're playing is a game of public uh public perception or PR or you're trying to say elicit a response, then that is Giga Chat. But it would be soy if she like so if the game she's playing is she wants to elicit a certain reaction from people, that is Giga Chad. And if the game she's playing is she wants to spread a particular message, then that's soy. But she is very performativity. She's very fucking performative in way she's being soy. If she's being soy,
Yeah, I think that it's neither. I know that that sounds like hard to believe, but I really think that it's just like it's a little game of pretend for her. I don't think that she actually cares about it fully or that she's doing it to be cool fully. I think it's just like once you're in the game and you're getting these interviews, you can put on the artifice, put on the mask either way. Now that might be because I just find it really hard to believe that anybody cares that much when they have that much money. Because I have been poor my whole life, I think to myself, if I had that kind of money, I would go to a fucking island. And that just might not be true.
Money doesn't solve self-confidence and like self-love. It will never solve it. So people
But-
that are broken without money are broken with money.
but if she doesn't care, then for my perception or my definition, then that means she is by default Giga Chad.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, because it's about being unbothered. But she's bothered. It is a conundrum. I won't deny that.
I mean, they do complain about the way they're treated.
But the Overton window is that, if you say, I love trans people, that's the soy thing, right? So she's being like Giga Chad in the other direction. Because it's harder to say the opposite opinion.
Maybe not in her niche. England is different than here. Now the internet, everybody's American because of the internet. You're right. Because you're dealing with American opinions all the time.
Twitter,
Wow.
universal.
Damn, I just had like a horrifying horror thought. Like how many of the people that are tweeting that I see on Twitter are actually British people and I didn't even know it. Like,
Yeah, dude.
that's
They-
horrifying.
That is terrifying. I don't understand.
No. I mean, sometimes you'll be having a conversation with somebody and it turns out that they eat pig's blood for breakfast. That's fucking scary. That's a vampire.
Yeah.
Sounds like drinking the blood of Christ once a
Like
week. But
you were
whatever.
you were reading their messages this whole time, their posts, but like you should have been reading it like this, mate, or whatever.
That is true. We definitely make assumptions of who we're talking to.
No, I whitewash every fucking tweet that I read, even if I know. There's no way. I don't do fucking Asian accents if I read
Well,
a
no,
fucking tweet from
duh,
an
but,
Asian
like-
woman. Like, so I'm not gonna do a British accent if I
Pussy.
fucking read a Chud
You
Logic's
fucking
tweet.
pussy.
I'm not gonna
You
do
pussy.
a British accent in my head.
You'll do the
So-
British, but you won't do the Asian.
Do you know? No, I said I won't. But you know when I will do it? if the word isn't it. If he says isn't it, all right, you get the accent.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I just whenever I see
If-
in it, I just hear Carl Pilkington's voice.
God, I miss
100%.
Carl Pilkington being like an innocent idiot. That was an era of fun. Remember when you
Peter
just
in your
be
accent,
stupid?
you need broken English.
But he was also like he wasn't like just like a lolcat. Like he was wholesome and everybody like loved him because of it. And yeah.
He was the closest we got to returning to like fucking what's the name of the guy who lived inside of a trash can? The homeless guy who pissed on a rich guy because everything in his house was too nice. It's not Dionysus. It doesn't fucking
Oscar
matter.
the Grouch.
That's
I
what I was
thought I was
thinking.
gonna leave my post-streaming life out of this.
Well, that was the character Tuna played that one week.
That's true.
You've lost the plot, mate.
Pockets, aren't I?
Yeah, I have to change it. Or you have
Well,
to
hold on.
change it.
Here, before you do that, let me turn off my camera really quick, just for the good. Yeah, I
something-
still got the vaccine needle as my fucking fucking nothing more. Hey, is being anti-vax soy or Gigachad? Discuss.
It depends on your intentions because, like I was saying before, it's like if you are trying to look like you don't care and you're just being performative, like maybe you actually don't care, but even if you don't care, the performativity of not caring is different because someone who doesn't care about the vaccines just doesn't care and they're probably not talking about it. But like someone who's like anti-vaxxer, they're performing it. They're like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand about these vaccines. I like it's just you're just a moron. We should like your mask. You're stupid sheeple. Like I know it. They're performing it. Like maybe like they actually really like. There's people who are extremely conspiracy brain. They actually believe that like we really need to tell everybody because everybody's being brainwashed right now, and we need to.
Well, then that's
but
soy.
That's yeah,
soy.
that is soy. But I think most of the anti-vax people are just being very performative. Like it's like I don't think they actually believe the whole conspiracy thing.
I think there's
I
a
don't know,
lot of
there's some pretty
pro-vax
fucking stupid people
performative
out
too.
there.
I'm gonna be real about it. There's a lot of pro-vax performative too. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But that's what I was saying. I was saying how one side of it could be either or, and the same thing applies to the other side.
I got cut off in traffic by a bitch that was driving her car with a mask on alone. And I was like, I know why you cut me off. Because you think that your fucking farts don't smell because they've been filtered through that mask for the last 3 fucking years. You think you can just be a fucking prick because inside of yourself you think, I'm doing something that's, let me put the straps on my ear. Go fucking crash.
meanwhile, her near dead grandma was laying down in the back seat and she's on her way to the hospital.
Holy fuck, tuna!
Oh my god! It took me till just now to realize you meant like a
I love tuna
like
chips
a,
so much.
M95
This commentary
mask.
is so good.
I picture her like driving by herself in a Halloween mask, like a Guy Fawkes mask or something.
You
that
went
makes
from
so much more
vaccine to Guy
sense.
Fawkes.
Yeah.
I was in Boston. I went into some like restaurant with some friends, and in the restaurant, like this was like a couple months ago or something when there was still like Boston's one of the areas where like you're gonna have the most like like militant maskies, and
Maskies.
and so like nobody like in the restaurant told us to put masks on or anything, and so we're like, all right, we won't. And some guy was like, hey, put your mask on, and I was like, oh, nobody told me to. He's like, oh, I told you to. I was like, fuck you.
He got
And
you there. He fucking got you, dude.
God damn, dude.
It's really funny about Boston too, because I think Boston's also the most likely place for you to be called the F slur for just like walking weird. I can imagine someone put the mask on, you fucking floof. What?
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't say it.
I know. I had to come up with something on the fly. I also put on the wrong accent.
Massachusetts is like the rich parts of Massachusetts are very very fucking
Cool.
lib cuck like extremist MSNBC brain. Like they have a IV of MSNBC into their like fucking eye socket.
You can say what you really mean. F bombs. Mute your. Put your ear mics on.
Earmuffs.
Here, put on your earmuffs. Say what you really want to say.
I know who owns it. I get it. I'm
Do we
Who
need
owns
to move?
what?
To,
What?
do we need to move this stream to Kick? Is that what we have to do?
Who owns?
Look,
Wait, what?
look,
I don't
take
know what you're
pride.
implying. I'm saying, but I said what I meant because
Look,
I was being soy.
look,
Okay.
I will explain very easily what tuna meant. What tuna meant was, while only making up roughly 1% of the American population, we still managed to somehow control Hollywood and the banking system. And what amazes me is the pacification of the 99% white Republican Federal Party of the 1% Jewish population, in which we dominate all media and also the money.
If you didn't already know,
We
Smith,
gotta
a lot
admit it, boys.
a lot of people
I don't care. I don't care. I won't care right now.
Okay, whatever. Oh my.
I'll care later, but I don't want to care on my stream. I don't want to spread stuff that's gonna make people anti-Semitic on my stream.
No,
right
that's not the fucking point. People
Okay.
left Massachusetts because Jews moved there. That's the actual fucking history. But if you don't care,
now. Oh.
Well, to be,
I do care. Okay, I'm just concerned.
I don't
I'm being
care.
soy.
I don't
I'm being.
care.
I will teach you a real
I
lesson.
was concerned. I'm being soy.
Look, in a real lesson,
It's
in a real
okay.
lesson, the way to respond to the JQ is what I did,
Look
not
at JA.
not to like defend like, well, they went to Hollywood because of the historical position, because they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
What
Well-
you need to do is take away what they're using, which is to say, so what you're saying is 1% of the population dominates you and you're supposed to be the master race? That's kind of weird.
Well, I genuinely
God's chosen.
I emotionally agree, and I've had this conversation before, and I just feel like most Jewish people don't do that. They'll do like
because they're
they don't
soy.
do. Yeah, they're doing the soy thing, and they're
That is
not only
why
this not only the soy thing, but like say tuna chips like is genuinely anti-Semitic.
Let's say.
Then like by like the soy thing for the typical Jewish response that you normally hear is to like just like silence them, which is what I was trying to do, and stop the conversation because they believe that it being talked about at all is damaging, and like they're making room for his concerns. And if you're actually anti-Semitic, you believe in a conspiracy, someone silencing you just makes you feel it even more. And like that, so like I feel like whatever you did is just probably, even if you're being like aggressive or toxic masculinity or whatever in some capacity, like it's just so much better because you're just making room for the other person's emotions in the conversation.
I don't.
Okay, so
ever
I
believe-
used to work. I used to work at a party rental place that was ran exclusively by Jewish people.
Obviously,
And
it's a business.
what can I say? And San Diego has an incredibly large Jewish population, and I've been a lot of the Jewish people that I've come into contact with kind of like lean into the whole like you make jokes about their shit and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's like the Jew magic that did this and shit like that. As like a joke, as in they're leaning in on it. Is that Gigachad, or is that like is there a
Depends if
fear
they-
there that like if they
It's
don't
survival.
make a joke out of it,
No,
that if they're
no.
soy, is that a negativity?
What
like,
do you mean
know?
by
Yeah.
I'm curious
way
to
to
hear
get
what you
along
mean
with-
by survival.
It's a way to get along with everybody, like, because you can't just be like there's no way you can get away with cohesively being like, hey, you shouldn't say stuff like that. That really bothers me. You can't say shit like that.
Everybody's been seeing the blue square ad, right? Do you guys know about the like stop anti-Semitic hate ad that's been going on? The video is that a dad. Okay, there's a short thing where a dad drives his son to a synagogue, and he like parks the car and he says, "I've seen what you've been saying online. Hitler was right. What the fuck, kid? Well, how about you say it to their face?" And he pulls up in front of a synagogue, and the kid just like sits there. And I spent the entire time, I'm like, I feel like the kid would. I feel like the kid would get out of the car and just do it. And then the dad's an asshole. But he's like trying to call him on his thing. And it's very emotional. It's very serious. And it's one of those things where it's like a lot of people are ripping it up online for being too soy. So yeah, Jews have learned to be Gigachad, of course.
I think that sounds a lot like the way we used to treat all the Dare commercials.
Yeah.
They're just, you can't appeal to the softness of somebody acting in disdain, anger, or hate. Like, it's a nonsensical point. You can dislodge. Go ahead.
I do think like no, I think that Jews, if they're confronted with this, and I'm not fucking Jewish, but I think you should do is I think you should appeal to the softness, but that doesn't fall into either category. Appealing to the softness, I think, is more like the genuine thing to do because the appealing to the softness, you can't convince somebody that's a conspiratorial thinker that they're wrong. The only thing you can do is engage with them like a human so that they see one Jew that isn't the way they expected it to be, and that's the best you can do.
Okay,
And
wait.
that's what I think should happen.
Let me.
It's
Can I give you my take? May
To
I?
be a model Jew.
May I? Okay.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think most of us people in the tribe and in probably other minorities, we've grown adept to very quickly making a decision of where we're going to stand in a conversation. If somebody is having a conversation, I think you can have a conversation and it's beneficial. Trying to have a conversation with somebody inauthentically having a conversation is very harmful. Like, it's worse to play defense to somebody on the right, especially in front of an audience, than it is to attack the very essence of the argument. And the very example I use is, you're saying you're controlled by 1%, but you're the master race. Help me understand. What I'm doing is, one, insulting and derooting this belief as, like, the only potential I have at that point is to deroot it. And then I've asked a question, so I'm waiting for a response. So explain to me how this 1% isn't the master race if they're controlling you. Help me. And now I'm not leaving until they explain it. They can say, what about this? Yeah, what about that? Now tell me how you're being controlled by 1%. And making them face the thing that they don't understand is the way to begin to make that news seed become something.
well, even in that though, you're engaging with them in a way where you're asking them to be part of the conversation too.
Yeah.
Sounds
So
pretty
even
soy.
that is cool.
It's necessary. You need to make people you can't dunk on them and then move on. If
Right,
you're gonna
that's
dunk
what
on
that I don't.
somebody,
Yeah.
you need to
Gigachad.
make it the conversation.
There is, I think the thing that you're pointing out is that that you guys are coming to agreement on is that it is Gigachad to put the onus on somebody else to answer to the thing. Because yeah, if the onus is always on you, you're always in that position of weakness. You look soy. So that's the game. Because yeah, when you make an anti-Semite, when you say to them like, oh, okay, if Jews are such a low population and there's something and they're not like and you think that superior races should be in power, then explain that distinction. Then they have to say, oh, well, they've been using like their position to manipulate the minds and make white people hate themselves, and then you just have to be like, okay, why are white people so weak of mind that they come to hate themselves? You keep putting the onus on them.
Yes, it's the same. I think it's the same strategy with everything. So you want to elect Trump because the election was stolen, but he was in charge of securing the election. So as the president, he oversees the election. He was incapable of securing it, and you want to put him back in charge of elections? How does that make sense to you?
I think
Now they have to answer it.
Well, that's a fake question because you're saying you're really. I don't know. Like you're just telling that you're saying something in question form.
True.
Like this is yeah, it is. But I have my ideal scenario. Like I'm trying to think of it because I'm not Jewish, so I'm trying to think of one that makes more sense.
there was Did you see the commercials, Smith? Or not commercials? There was like TikTok-y type YouTube videos where this chick would walk past construction workers and they'd be like, "Hey, baby, want to fuck?" And she'd turn around and like get right in her face. She's like, "Yeah, let's do it right now." And they'd be like, and somebody was like, "Marry me." She's like, "Okay, let's get married." And then she just like grabs his arm, and the dude doesn't know what the fuck to do. That's making people deal with their shit, and I think that's pretty pretty giga
those
chatty.
I've seen that kind of commercial. I don't know if I'm seeing the one you're talking about, but I've seen things exactly like that. And when I remember being like a teenager and seeing that shit and being like, that would make me so horny. I don't know, it's your stand.
You're okay.
It wouldn't work on teenagers. If she did that to a 16-year-old and she's like, "Yeah, let's do it right now," he'd drop his fucking pants in the middle of the road, all right, and be rock fucking hard. They work
Well-
because they're construction workers who have a modicum of shame, who are playing up their doggedness for the other guys that they're working with.
Don't let Smith say that without pointing out the fact that he does have an emasculation fetish and that he is turned on by the idea of being.
No, it's actually not an emasculation fetish. It's just that it's a non-masculation fetish.
Oh, sure. That's
And on that note, I gotta go, you guys. I know we were good for 2 hours. My wife's home, and I did tell her that I would do stuff for her when she got home.
We were good.
This was fun.
Is that why the shirt was off the whole time?
The shirt was off because I don't give a fuck. All right.
I don't give a fuck. Brazzy, it was awesome. It was great having you. Enjoy your
Yeah.
family time.
Hey,
Peace,
you
Elder.
too.
Yeah,
Take it easy,
yeah.
guys.
All right.
See ya.
Okay, who's the porn star that he looks like now that he's gone?
Don't
Rachel
all
Ron,
the-
Dolezal.
don't Ron Jeremy him.
Did you say
Rachel
Rachel?
Dolezal.
That's fucking hilarious. I mean, there is a Ron Jeremy resemblance.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you could always just say soy Ron Jeremy or something, right? But
That dude is a fucking disgusting pig. Like
Yeah.
I know
He's just-
people that have known
He's
him,
still
and he
fat.
is a certified top degen.
Who would have guessed?
so would you consider Ron Jeremy to be Gigachad or soy?
Damn it.
Yeah, you
I would
didn't
say
any of the Gigachad.
I would say that in most
No, I
contexts,
did.
in most
Hold on. I'll give it to you. Go ahead.
in most contexts, defending Ron Jeremy would probably be Gigachad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bitch that wrote the books. I said Gigachad if she's out there, just building Turf Island, even though other people are mad. With Destiny, I don't think I did give an answer. I've
Yeah.
got to say Gigachad, just because of the way so many people have come at him, and he's just like, I know they're gonna come. I'm gonna deal with it. It's gonna be what it is. Like, as long as I'm not canceled, I don't have to do what I did with the fucking DDoS kid.
I'm not talking about Destiny in general because that's too broad. I'm talking about specifically his
Reaction to the
relationships. The fact that he's okay with open relationships.
oh.
People on the left call it Gigachad. Liberals call it Gigachad. It's like, oh yeah, he doesn't give a shit who Melina fucks. And then people on the right are like, actually, that's really soy for you to not care, and because you're probably pretending to not care. Like that's the big thing.
I mean, well, that is the thing. Is if he really just doesn't care and it's not an act, it's Gigachad. If he's like, I don't care, well, that's pretty fucking soy.
Now, modification, knowing supposedly, I don't know if this is true, the allegations that he was going to become monogamous for Lauren Southern, does that give us the information to know that he actually probably was pretending to not be bothered? And that means that it was soy the whole time.
No. And the reason why no is Melina and him may have been okay with a non-monogamous relationship. So he might not really give a fuck, monogamous or not. Like, he may be in an existence where it's like, if it's only one, it's one. If it's a bunch, it's a bunch. I don't really care. But
I gotta tell you. Oh, sorry.
the other side may have a determining factor that doesn't want that, and so therefore to like
I want
be
Smeth's opinion.
cohesive, I could see it. Go ahead.
I want to hear Smeth's opinion now.
No. Okay. I think it's a dumb question. I hate it because no matter what, it's either is he a Gigachad or is he neutral? Because he cannot be soy if he doesn't care. Because the question we're asking is, does he act like he doesn't care because he actually cares, or does he actually not care? To be soy is to care, so he's automatically not being soy. Is he being Gigachad or is he being a Chad? Is the question.
Because
'Cause
is
he
it
doesn't care.
performative or is it not?
Well, he doesn't act like he cares. So is it performative or is it not performative? Is it genuine or is it not? And is he a genuine Chad or is he a Giga Chad?
So I think because Melina gets really mad when Destiny sleeps with other people, Destiny is always in a position of power that makes it so that we can never actually know whether deep down he is the type of person that, if she wasn't that way, would be soy in that moment. But in this in the current situation, yeah, power is in his lap because she's the person that cares more, right? She always cares more because she cares a lot. He doesn't
Has
care.
he,
Used to detachment.
has he shown any vulnerabilities about it? Like, has he ever been like, here's a time where it bothered me?
I
About
don't
that,
think so.
I don't know enough about it. I just mostly
I
know
don't
that this
either.
like a recent thing because of the Lauren Southern fucking like log leaks or some
I
shit.
do think it's an interesting conundrum to be like, is he
actually-
quitting for her?
Actually, in the Destiny Report article, there's a good example of that. The Bob Seven story, where someone tried to steal her basically from him, or that's how it was like basically like led to what it seemed like, and his response was to destroy them. So I think he did care in that instance.
But it's interesting. Does he care about control or does he care about like would this happen? Is this unique to Melina or is this an innate quality? Like this is the thing that I was kind of asking, which is coming to the heart of it. Are people Giga Chad? Are people soy? Or is it the texture of a relationship between two different people? Someone is always the soy one and someone is the Giga Chad one. Because that's
That
what I
shit
think
probably
might be what's
rotates.
happening. You think it's both or what?
I think that stuff rotates like always. Like somebody becomes the one who needs help, and somebody becomes the person that fills that gap. And eventually, the person filling that gap starts to feel unappreciated, and then they need to be taken care of, or things go out of control. You know that's the thing about a relationship. It's always like rolling over that way. You go through the
Wait.
4 cycles constantly.
Hold on. I'm confused because I don't see a Giga Chad as a caretaker.
Why not?
I see them as like the opposite of a like so if you're being soy and then someone's receptive to it, that's a totally different thing. But if you're being soy, like the relationship between a soy and a Giga Chad is you come in soy and the Giga Chad tells you you're a moron and tells you to get the fuck out.
Yeah, it's the stereotypical relationship of a uh what is it called? Anxious, like an anxious attachment versus a dismissive attachment. That's the Giga Chad soy. Versus like what you're talking about is a healthy dynamic. A healthy dynamic works that way. But an
Well,
unhealthy dynamic is all about push and pull. No one ever gets exactly what they want. Everybody's distant.
well,
Right.
okay.
That's where the question should be if Destiny's the healthy side or if he's the Giga Chad side, but I don't think he could be the soy side.
Has okay, so somebody said that she's corrected him or spoken out about his behavior. Is that correct? I
Yeah,
thought,
there's like she streams and like makes critique of Destiny and his relationship dynamics before. Yeah.
okay, so let's boil it down to like say Anna, right? So a lot of people, including I think Melina, thought it was nuts to have been sexting with Anna. Is that a fair assessment of Melina's position?
I can't speak of it now.
I can't speak about it. I don't know.
Fucking pussies. let's.
I-
let's
No,
I'm not sure. I'm not
I'm
sure.
I was just.
I just haven't. I don't
I
watch
was
her.
giga-chatting you. Okay. Somebody
There's
said
a lot of
no.
psychoanalyzation going on here.
Well, because it does matter. That's the thing. Is
We don't have to talk about the specific cases. I don't care about the truth of the people. I'm
okay.
talking about them because this is what I was talking about. We're trying to learn gigachadism from observing the things that are being demonstrated. That is what a lot of male content creators, why people watch them and emulate them. And people do emulate Destiny. So when we're looking at the way that Destiny presents his relationship, not the truth of it, I don't care what's happening behind closed bars. The question is, when people emulate that relationship dynamic, are they accidentally committing towards the gigachad detachment that makes them enter in these unhealthy relationship dynamics? That's the
Well,
underlying question.
well, and I think
Because
that's
because to be the true Chad, you would have to come to it of your own volition. I think if you're just watching someone do it and then you're being influenced by that, that is by definition not Chad.
well. This is why I'm trying to
Right.
get to like the public comments, because if somebody's saying if the partner is irritated and Destiny doesn't care, then that's one thing. If the partner is irritated and Destiny understands, but is still going to do what he's going to do, those two things are kind of different how he's going to behave. And then how does he present it? Does he say, I don't give a fuck and act aloof? Or does, and call her crazy and put it off of him? Or does he put it off of him but accept some responsibility? Like, if you treat most things like a definite or a 100%, then it's probably not real.
Well, okay, hold on. He tells his audience that what he does is something most people shouldn't do or can't do. What his relationship style, he tells them frequently. Well, I'm a I do polyamory, but most people can't handle this. And in that it's almost a gigachad. It's like it is a gigachad. He's saying like, I do this, but you shouldn't be doing this. Knowing people are going to emulate him, I think that there's nothing wrong with emulating somebody, but emulating somebody that says that you shouldn't be emulating them. I don't know. I'm maybe I'm confused.
It's like when people would watch Jackass and it has the fucking disclaimer in the beginning. It says, "Don't do this at home. We're idiots." Yada yada yada. But it's hanging a lampshade. As anybody that likes themselves, if you like yourself, if you think there's something cool about you and you want to share it with people, every streamer has some level of that, because otherwise you would hide yourself. Then that by demonstrating that and demonstrating the value of it, that other people are going to see it and be like, God, I want to be like that. I'm going to start being like that. That's why you say, by the way, you can't get away with this. Don't try this at home.
Right. They don't nobody's letting me say this.
Okay.
No. I mean, that's the phrase.
Oh,
Nobody lets me say this. Like, they're silencing me. I'm not even allowed to say this.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then they say it.
The MTG strategy, right?
Yeah.
I was just gonna. I've now remembered the last part of that thought. I don't think that there's inherently anything wrong with emulating people, and I think that even the Chad probably had to learn from somewhere. So, like, I don't know, maybe they learned from Jesus in the Bible because they're such a I don't know, like whatever. But yeah, I don't think that like having learned it, I don't think anybody comes to anything naturally. Actually,
Totally determinist, huh?
yes.
Well,
Soy.
Environmental determinist as opposed to biodeterminist.
Yeah. Yeah, very much.
I don't know. I think at some point that
about it.
I think at some point you take people's
uh,
ideas and you switch out enough of the stuff that they probably end up becoming your ideas eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're your own volition at that point. You're not like being influenced by somebody.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. So you're not doing it because you saw it on a movie. You're doing it because you saw it on a movie and now you believe it, and you're not thinking about the movie. It's just who you are.
Yes, I think that's possible, right?
once you embody something, yeah, I guess it is volitional, but that requires that you be of like self-awareness and intelligence to know that that's where it came from. I think a lot of people believe it not by choice, like they embody it and then they keep perpetuating it. That's like the reproduction of personality, right?
Well, so like you're basically, to me, you're describing MAGA, where like there is an entire group of people whose factual foundation is based on misinformation they've been fed by intentional propaganda. Like you look at the settlement they just made and the lies that came out about them saying, we know this isn't stolen, we know this isn't stolen. That lady told the truth, fire her. The people that believe it as a reality, whether it's real or not. That is their reality. And accepting that their false reality is their actual reality, that's, I think, where like the empathy side of them being manipulated comes in. Like, you don't know, you don't know. So yelling at you because you don't know is not even useful. You're a victim.
Yeah, but you're by your own account, right? That if you're a victim, then you're the victim of a victim of a victim of a
They
victim.
become a victimizer eventually if they
Okay.
don't understand.
Okay, then when do you think that is? Because if you're saying that what's the flipping point between when something is you are merely a product of your conditions versus when you are a person who is like making a choice?
You can be both. So you, when you start propagating it and spreading it as your truth, then you become a purveyor of misinformation, but you're still purveying misinformation you're receiving. So I don't have sympathy for your actions and the consequences you're going to pay for those actions, but I can understand the things that got you where you are. Unless you're a Tucker or an Alex Jones or a Shapiro, who aren't there for any, they don't believe they're acting in a moral good. They understand they're acting against public interest.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
the other people don't believe that. There are purveyors of misinformation that believe they're acting in the best intent. And so they're causing harm, but they're still the victim at the same time. So it's both.
If you think that the point that you become responsible is when you believe is the point of moral concession, then I'll agree with you. I think that that's at least definite, but I think it might be sooner than that.
Well, no. We're talking about you're going to be responsible for your actions no matter what. You're never like an innocent victim because you chose to go do an act. Even if you thought it was in the better good, you were wrong. Like violating the law that you didn't understand was a law you're violating, still a law you're violating. But you could be doing it without the intent of violating the law or like there I think we can agree there's a lot of people. Wait, I can explain it easy. There's a lot of people that stormed the Capitol that did a wrong, but they thought they were saving the country.
Right. I agree with that. The only problem with what you're saying is your like the last thing you said, I completely agree, but you're framing it all within the assumption that you are like a knower of truth. Where
No.
like
Okay, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
you like even as perceptive as you may be, as much as of truth as you may see, and as correct as you could be about the misinformation someone else is absorbing, you are also subject to other misinformation too.
Sure. Which is why we analyze the source information so that we can make sure we are where we are. I'm not telling them they're wrong. I have done the research to know the election wasn't stolen, that hydroxychloroquine doesn't work, that there isn't a Q clearance patriot giving them orders to become a baker. That like
Okay,
these things they believe are real, but they are not.
can I check with something though?
Yeah.
The same way that you feel a duty towards truth, many feel a duty towards something that exists in that space instead, whether or not that is some kind of narrative, uh, religious or political, that has been injected into them um, at some previous point. I'm not convinced that the entry of whatever that thing being plugged into the brain to occupy that space is something by choice. I think that for some people, truth gets plugged in there. For some people, it's politics, religion, whatever's plugged in there is plugged in involuntarily. So if they are acting and they are determining all things in measure, if the measure of value is not truth, but is instead what is of service to God or what is of service to this narrative, then how are you gonna?
Can we say that breaks down to core belief? The truth, like that, when you hear somebody religious,
hold on. You're just putting so much. You want to call it core belief instead of what he said because you want to give the person more agency, the person you're disagreeing with more agency. But I the way I see it, as an environmental determinist, is that like both I have no agency and you have no agency, and we're both like leaves in the wind.
what does that ever stop?
No.
So at no point can you question the environment you're in?
You can try, and it's good to try. And you can be part of the environment. So you can be part of the wind that blows everybody. You're talking publicly, you're part of it, but you can't like you can't be free from the wind.
I'm so lost at what you're talking about.
I'm so glad it's not just me.
I'm saying you get your ideas and you're influenced by all these different things, and what you perceive as fact or what is your values, like you get this shit plugged into you. You get Christianity plugged into your brain, you get liberalism plugged into your brain or whatever from like a young age or whatever, and we have all this shit that we believe, and we trust certain types of people that other people don't trust, and that's just all like you didn't choose all that when you're growing up, and you want to just say it's core beliefs, and I think just saying it's core beliefs dismisses the fact that the core beliefs themselves come from chaos.
No,
And
wait a
like
minute, wait a minute. If you've been indoctrinated into
you have too.
just wait a second. If you've been indoctrinated into um a radical evangelical cult, does
like liberalism or
I mean, like or science, you were born into Scientology and you spent the first 20 years of your life on the boat, right? Does there ever become an age where you have agency?
I think there is.
Yeah, but Smith is arguing that there isn't. And I think that's like I don't understand how that works.
Are we just totally off the Gigachad?
Way off, whatever
Soy
we were
boy?
doing
Absolutely off. Yeah.
Like, does this relate at all? Like, does anyone?
No.
Did anyone
No.
have any?
Well,
Tuna thinks it relates. Okay, hold on. I'm curious. Like, can we relate it back to? Can we relate it back to the? How does?
Yeah.
If you can, shit. I'm just
Okay, the landing is when we're talking about people that are doing the Gigachad thing, and we're talking about like, oh, you're performing this because you're trying to look really cool to people, or you're performing this because you want to look like you are really morally upstanding. All of this stuff, it's because you are part of this idea and you feel like of service to it. I think that that's an ideological position. And I think that the only way, if to claim that people can do anything other than try to be Gigachad or try to be Gigasoy when they are a person that was born and bred into that like position, we need to actually believe that exit is possible to judge for it.
Yes.
That's kind of the connective tissue.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think they're welcome start. Give me 1 second. And so I think that's where the empathy comes in of you are a product of your environment. but you also have to take responsibility for your actions. Like there was a state that just made it so that some church can diddle kids and not have to abide by the law.
Is Mr.
Right.
Girl
So-
moving there?
Put the citations in the chat.
What are you
really
looking for, a realtor?
quick, because this is starting to sound like faux news right now.
No, I'll get it for you. I'm telling you, there was just the Supreme Court in that state just ruled that the religious organization doesn't have to abide by the like child abuse legal laws. They govern themselves like as if they were a reservation.
Is that Gigachad or is that soy? Let's
It's
decide.
fucking
No, I'm just
disgusting.
kidding.
It's fucking disgusting. Is what it is.
Obviously. Obviously.
Okay,
Well, that's
Star,
okay.
welcome.
We know because we
Hey,
know
It's a very
thanks for
soy
having
opinion,
me.
though.
Yes, welcome. We
Thanks
were
for having me. So
yeah,
what's this topic? What
Well,
what topic is this?
we started by defining soy in Gigachad. So can you try to define Gigachad and soy for us?
Yeah, soy is caring a little bit too much about things, and letting things get to you. If I'm thinking about the internet terms, right? Soy is basically letting things that shouldn't get to you get to you. Gigachad is basically just not giving a fuck about things, right? Not giving a fuck about what people think, not giving a fuck about what people say, and just kind of living your life no matter how people try to fuck with you, I guess.
Now, is that an authentic not give a fuck or a projected not give a fuck?
An authentic one, but I think you have to fake it till you make it. So,
Th-
yeah,
Nice,
yeah.
nice. And then I think we got into. Oh, shit, I got-
Here's the thing though, you can be a Gigachad and you can not give a fuck about things, but it depends on who you are, and people will be like, "Oh, you're being a pushover" or something like that, right? So it really depends. And you have being a Gigachad doesn't always work out for everybody, but I mean, at the end of the day, you got to do you. So that's kind of what it is.
So Gigachad would be both the behavior, but also the perception of that behavior by an audience.
I don't know. I think you can. I think you can be Gigachad without an audience perceiving it as Gigachad. Um, but yeah, generally, like sometimes people, if somebody hates you enough, it doesn't matter what you do. Like they're just gonna hate you. So no
Facts.
reason in trying to trying to win them over. So
Okay,
So
I
are
this
we
is-
doing-
I think that if you're Gigachad and you don't care, there's a big difference between not caring and saying that you don't care, especially if you're a streamer. Because so at the point at which you actually say that you don't care, you've moved beyond actually not caring. Because not caring means you just like you're out for lunch. You don't, you're not even engaging. If you can just leave. But if you want to say that you don't care, that's you actually care about saying you don't care.
Sure. I
Go
don't
ahead,
think
Tuna.
people, by the way, I don't think that many people are outwardly stating that they don't care. What they're doing is they're acting in such a way that other people look at them and they're like, "Oh, nonchalant, non-caring." Star, do you agree that the main thing that determines whether or not somebody thinks that you're a Gigachad or soy is because they think they know your intentions behind your behavior?
yeah,
I was using the Destiny and
Yeah.
Melina thing as an example because people that are like liberal will see Destiny not caring about Melina sleeping around as Gigachad. He doesn't care what she does in bed. But then everybody, like people on the right, will say he's coping. He actually cares, but he can't speak up about it because she's too hot for him. It's like all about what they think that they're in your head.
sure. I wouldn't use that example necessarily just because I think it's like too personal of an example, but yeah, sure. It definitely comes down to perception. And like I said, there's going to be just some audiences, there's going to be some people that even if you are a Gigachad, even if you really don't give a fuck, they're going to find a reason to say that you give a fuck, or they're going to find a reason to say, "Oh, you're just coping," or they'll say, "Yeah, you don't care because you're a dumb fuck," So, yeah, which is
I'm
my
starting to
case a lot of the time.
I was gonna say, is it
Do you
ever
think it's
true
harder-
that way?
I'm starting to think that being a Gigachad is just entirely subjective based on community. And there probably will never be such a thing as like an objective Gigachad.
Well, it's again, I think that there's two different definitions. There's like the I don't give a fuck behavior and being willing to just take something like a man and deal with it and like boldly chest out do something, people are like, wow, that's kind of Giga Chad. Like that's an authentic Giga Chad. But then there's people that are like, oh, based, he raped her. Like that's like the faux Giga Chad for attention. Like, well, it's no different than based Hitler. Like it's it's for attention. It's not. I mean, for the most part, there can be people like Ye who have the balls to just speak their mind.
Sure. I mean, even the Hitler example comes to mind, right? You could say that Hitler was soy. We talk about him being like his speeches. He's soy as fuck. He's so triggered. He's so triggered. Look at this. Look at this
True.
triggered fucking German bitch. And then people would also say, oh, he doesn't care what the German media says about, or the Jewish controlled German media says about him. Like, yeah, it is subjective, and it comes down to the community, like you were saying, Will. But I do think also that the word and the dynamic is always present in every single community, and it is always about the idea of the unbothered individual. And the reason they're unbothered is because they're at the top of the hierarchy, and what defines whether or not someone is Giga Chad is the nature of that social hierarchy.
All right. Now, the other thing that I'm trying to separate too is what is more honest, being soy or being Giga Chad?
I think again, it really depends on the person, right? Like you can be honest about being soy, and you can be honest about caring. You can be honest about being a Giga Chat or not Giga Chat. You can be honest about not caring, right? But if an audience hates you enough, it doesn't matter, right? If somebody hates you enough, it really doesn't matter, and that's why you kind of have to start learning how to separate your streamer self, which is a brand, from your personal self, right? Because what people are doing really is they're essentially like brand testing you, right? And if you get too personally attached to that brand, you you're gonna get triggered, and then people are, yeah, they're gonna try and see your brand break, or they're gonna try and see you break, right? So that is something that I learned very early on. And I think again, it really doesn't matter. You can care about things, you can be honest about caring things, you can be honest about not caring about things. People will find a way to turn that against you.
It's that kayfabe thing, right? That was being said before. It's like wrestling. Yeah, you play your character, and they're trying to get you to get out of character. That's it. That's insightful. That's insightful.
Yeah, okay. For one of the first things we started talking about, we were framing it. Tuna Chip especially started this conversation. We were saying that whole Giga Chad thing is very male oriented, and it's much harder for a woman to be seen as a Giga Chad, because when a woman does the Giga Chad thing, she's just a bitch, you know. Do you feel
or
that?
you're just stupid, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I really don't care what people say about me. Like the other day when people are like, why do you still engage with this person when he was yelling at you about your pussy lips, spreading your pussy lips on the internet? And it's like, I don't give a fuck, right? But it's like, oh, you have no self-respect, you really just don't, you have no self-respect, or why do you engage with these people who hate you, right? I don't give a fuck, right? But oh no, you're stupid. You're just being a useful idiot, right? I don't care. But at the end of the day, I can't convince anybody, right? So I just keep doing what I'm doing. So yeah.
Men want women to be bothered and men to be unbothered, and women want women to be unbothered and men to be bothered. Everybody, like, I think that a lot of this comes from the fucking dating dynamics. People want the opposite sex to care more than them because they to be the person who cares less is fucking powerful.
So here's my question: how many times of saying we don't care is kind of signaling that we do care? And I guess, Star, my question is, you complained about the left about 30 times the other day while you were exposing the pedophilia of the right. So if the left doesn't actually bother you, why did it come up so many times while
Oh, it
talking
does.
about
Like, don't get me
pedophiles?
wrong. Don't get me wrong, right? I don't like. Here's the thing. When it comes to engaging with people I know are supposed to hate me, I don't care, right? Like, I expect that. but I will say it, like, it's still annoying when I'm trying to do my thing, just trying to do what I'm doing, and people think that I'm like think that I'm an idiot in the way that I'm engaging with people when I have a very clear goal, right? Just because people don't understand the goal that I'm doing doesn't mean that like that there isn't one there isn't a plan there, right? And I get it, like I'm not very open about that. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's annoying and I'm going to complain about it. Like yeah, I do care to some extent. It's just I don't care about people um calling me like calling me fat, like, or calling me like ugly, or like, people on one side of the political spectrum, hating my guts, because I expect it, right?
Well,
But
so
it is frustrating to have people constantly um constantly demean you and put down your intelligence and act like you don't know what you're talking about when you're probably one of the most knowledgeable people about that one thing. That's probably what I would say.
The reason it doesn't bother you is because they don't understand what it is that you find valuable about what you're doing. So they're insulting all the wrong things, they're criticizing all the wrong things. That's not going to bother you. The thing that makes people end up being soy, and I think the reason that we like to like poke and prod is because we like to say, hey buddy, I know the thing that you're insecure about. And like, so like someone will be like, why are you looking at the chat? Type that into somebody's you keep looking at chat, type that into a streamer's thing anytime that you see their eye jerk, and you will see like the grimace, because yeah, that's the thing they're insecure about, and you
that's
caught
funny.
their.
That's pretty funny. Well,
Yeah.
would you say, Star, that the lefties that read and screeched at you for months at a time didn't ever really ask you what you were hoping to accomplish, other than just accusing you of what you were doing?
Um there was some of that, but I think also it was just not even asking, it was just like straight up like just straight up being demeaning, right? And then it turns out like there's like actual insight to be gained from observing different spaces. And it's fine if other people don't see that, but like to call me like a useful idiot, or to say that I'm only there to be a punching bag, is just inaccurate. I dealt with a lot of shit when I first entered those spaces. I got hate rated for like a week straight by somebody who had like hundreds of people on me, had like 600 people watching all the time. Anytime I went live, I had somebody hate rating me, and it made me reconsider whether I could even stream. And I got through that, and I got through everything else everybody like flung at me. So it's not like I'm just here, oh, they're nice to me, and then I'll be nice to them because they're being nice to me. That's not how it is. I know what I'm getting into. And I've dealt with like the real repercussions of it. So it just feels like people are assuming things about what I'm doing, and assuming things about me that are just inaccurate, that aren't a reflection of who I am as a person. So
I find that online, in this fucking streaming and shit, people will often, like, cruelly, almost insidiously, they'll define you by how other people treat you rather than by your intentions, or like, so like if other people like treat you like a punching bag, it's like, well, why are you a punching bag? And it's like, well, I'm a punching bag because they treated me like a punching bag, you asshole. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
well, wait a minute. Let me stick to that, because, like, to give you a plug, but also make some pose a question or two to you. You have a very important interview tomorrow, and I am like extremely happy for you. Kudos. Like, that is a
appreciate that.
major deal. One, how do you feel about that? You want to tell
It
them what
feels
I'm talking about?
Yeah. So I'm going to be interviewing Milo tomorrow, and possibly having a caller or two also during that. But yeah, it feels good to be able to have that interview. But at the same time, I know everybody who's asking me about it is like, "Oh, what about that Destiny Milo debate, right?" And it's like, "Well, yeah, that Destiny Milo debate was really good. Destiny performed really well." But my point of this interview with him is about the Ollie Alexander controversy. And I know that like half the people who come to check it out are going to be saying, Stardust, why don't you question him on his gay conversion therapy stuff? Or Stardust, why don't you question him on him writing a book for Marjorie Taylor Greene, when the goal of my interview with him is to explicitly talk about not those things. The goal of my interview is to talk specifically about the Ollie Alexander America First controversy right now. So I know I'm going to get that. That's like something I'm
Well,
anticipating.
can
Yeah.
you really isolate this to just the like current accusations? Because the reason I ask this is
hmm
as soon as things like this have happened in the past,
hmm
the first thing that goes on is fundraising. And then they end up in a lawsuit of Ali Alexander and say Milo. And then that lawsuit ends up getting settled quietly. So we have no idea whatever happened. Yet they did fundraising.
One of
off
them already
both
filed
of
a
them.
police report. One of them filed a police report
Okay.
a couple of days ago. Yeah, I just know it's going to happen because the same thing happened with like the third Richard Spencer interview, right? I was interviewing him specifically about drama happening in the space, and everybody had a problem with the third interview, which is like fine if you want me to challenge people on things. It happens even now when I talk to like AF people, right? Just 2 days ago, I talked to somebody from AF, and they were telling me about the drama that's going on, while also basically saying in the same sentence, just having a problem with homosexuality and
Right.
and making them analogous in their head, right, with the PDF file stuff. And I don't have the time. I don't have the time to interrupt that person in the middle of them telling me about drama to start debate broing them about why homosexuality is not analogous with PDF file stuff. Because right now I'm trying to get information about the Ollie Alexander stuff, get information about what did you know, right? And at another date, I'm happy to challenge people on that. But in the moment, in the heat of the moment, it's like if a cop is interrogating somebody, right, and all of a sudden that suspect says something not homosexual, something homophobic, right? In the middle of your interrogation, are you going to start debate broing the suspect? Like,
Right. No,
Do
exactly.
you
yeah.
do you feel an obligation to like field these criticisms and respond to them?
So I think I have a pretty good community that will like the closest, like the people who are super tight in my community are willing to give me a lot of criticisms, right? They're willing to be very openly critical of me, and they've done so even in my own chat, right? So I do want to engage with criticisms, but at the same time there are times where I get criticism for outside communities that are so wildly off base that it doesn't make sense for me to waste my time on them, right? So if somebody's telling me like, oh, in the middle of you talking to those two guys and they're telling you about what Nick Fuentes knew about this and what he didn't know, why didn't you challenge them about their thoughts on homosexuality? Well, I can't I'm interviewing them about whether Nick Fuentes knew about Ollie Alexander. I'm not interviewing them about their thoughts on homosexuality. If I start debate broing them in the middle of the interview, like
Well,
we're not going to get
Right.
anywhere.
with
Well, when
that,
is the
with that
engagement
said,
with the
hold on, Will.
criticism Gigachad or Soy?
Well, wait a
When
second,
is?
Will. Wait.
Oh, that's a good
Will,
question.
hold on. My question, I guess, is if the misinformation that's coming or the information coming is misinformation, what do you do about that? Like,
So
I
like
know it's an
usually,
interview.
yeah, so usually what happens is like after I'm done with being on the call with them, I'll explain to my chat what exactly is going on, right? I'll explain the language that these people use, right? Specifically in this part of the internet and this part of the political sphere, they have this common view that this thing is analogous with this thing. Now, obviously, you guys know, and I know that this is not true, right? We know that there is medical literature that says that is not the case. And that's usually what I'll do after an interview like that, where somebody will pass a couple of things. To be real with you guys, it is impossible to stop a person every single time they say something, because again they use different vocabulary,
You
so
can, but it would
yeah,
ruin the whole thing.
Will you
it
let
would,
Will?
yeah,
Will you let Will ask this question? I'm sorry, I cut him off.
sure.
When is engaging with the criticism Gigachad, and when is engaging with the criticism Soy?
That's a good question because you can engage with criticism and you can say, okay, I accept that. Sure, there are things that I can improve on, and people will still think that you're not engaging with it, right? So, for example, I've had a couple of debates with Mindwaves, and in several of those, I was even open to saying like, hey, like, yeah, obviously I'm not the best interviewer in the world. I have a lot of things to improve on, and I'm working on it, right? Obviously, there are points in certain interviews where I could have done better, 100%. But even that wasn't enough for the guy, right? Like even that was like, oh, Stardust doesn't like criticism. Stardust doesn't engage with criticism, which is like, hello, I just said okay to you, and I still like I just acknowledged it, right? So so I think it's hard to say because again, if somebody is bent on disliking you, it doesn't matter how much you engage with their criticism. They're going to be like, oh, she didn't really, or oh, he didn't really. So you kind of, it's hard in the beginning when you start getting a lot of like a flood of criticism. Sorry, did I cause somebody to leave?
I don't think
Um,
so.
Okay, yeah, it's hard in the beginning to really sift through it. And I think you kind of have to have some good community members who can sift through valid criticisms and bring them to you and then tell you, yeah, don't really listen to this thing, right? It can be really hard to do that. So, yeah.
I think a big issue is just like concern trolls that are just people that are like they're trolling you, but maybe they don't even know they're doing it, which is
They're just
but
being
they're just
soy. They might
they're
not
no
know they're
they're
being
not being
soy.
they're not being soy. They're being almost disingenuous. They're trying to find your insecurities, so they're just like acting like they have criticism, and then they'll give you criticism until it like seems to get a response out of you because they just want to get a response out of you. So they'll keep saying shit like, oh yeah, but don't you know you're doing this, or don't you know? And then once they get to the thing that hurts you, then that's their sticking point because they get a response out of you because
I'm
they're
Yeah.
looking for something.
I'm
Yeah.
actually a huge fan of the Mindwaves platforming manifesto. Could I ask one question specifically about it that
Sure, go
relates to
ahead.
being
Yeah.
soy? Is that okay, F bombs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
sure,
there's
absolutely.
a section, I believe it's number 4, and it says, basically he's giving examples of like excuses, and I'm not saying you make these excuses, but the people make,
Yeah.
and then kind of responses to them. And one of them is,
Yeah.
I can't provide pushback because I have to build rapport. So what Mindwaves suggests you do is that you can still implement strategies outlined in the how you can responsibly platform someone section of this document
Mm-hmm.
without coming across as particularly hostile or soy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can engage in rapport building to an extent, but it is not an excuse to engage in a meek manner for an extended period of time or for multiple interactions to no end. Alternatively,
Mm-hmm.
you can also engage in rapport building online. I think that
Yeah.
there is some kind of there probably is some kind of a line where you start engaging with somebody and you have a certain like amount of audience watching you where
Mm-hmm.
you might start damaging
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Wait.
yeah, what's up?
While I have struggled with bringing people onto your platform, because I think there are places and spaces where you can accomplish the same thing without it being your platform. I'm not, regardless of that, right? If Stardust is doing an interview of somebody, why does she owe something more than any other journalist? Like, why would Stardust be held to a higher standard than 60 Minutes? Like, 60 Minutes didn't push back on Marge really calling Democrats pedophiles very well. Why is it Stardust's personal responsibility to push back?
Well, look, I think when there's an opportunity to do so, certainly, yeah, I can build rapport with people and still push back, right? So recently I was on a call with Richard Spencer, Ethan Ralph, and what's this other guy? He's another guy who's like a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, right? And I think in that I was pretty like, I was still kind of, building rapport with people, but I was still like, honestly, guys, like, I don't buy what you're saying, about you. They were getting kind of anti-Semitic, and I was like, guys, I don't really think that's right. I don't think that's, honestly, that's not I have no evidence to believe that. I don't know why you think that. It's really not. There's no evidence for me to believe that. And I think if you're gonna, and I would bring up other things, right? So it's not like it's not like that criticism isn't valid. For sure, it is. But I think, again, I've never claimed to be perfect, and that's something that I tried to outline to Mindwaves himself. I tried to be like, yeah, there are places where I can improve 100%, but unless I've seeded on everything that he brought to me, that he would not be happy with my response. Essentially, you can go through like some of these conversations, and I do try to find middle ground with him, but because I'm not like 100 seating on 100% of everything, he is not willing to view the conversation as successful, I guess. So
Like, let me
yeah.
try and rephrase the conversation, because I totally know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just, if your intention is to go in and interview somebody, ask questions, you don't really have an obligation to provide pushback, theoretically, because you're interviewing them.
Will is a
I
good
guess
interviewer.
what I was trying to, I guess to rephrase the question is more like, when in an interview do you think something could, like, what would be the crossing where you'd be like, I can't just ask this guy questions anymore.
That's a better,
I need to start pushing
question
back.
of what I was,
Sure.
better.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it depends, right? Because I think in some interviews, like you kind of let the person go off and continue to go off because you know that they look kind of crazy, right? And oftentimes that strategy works for me where people are going off. Keffels is an example that ended up making her look really bad. There's another example with like Ethan Ralph where he explodes on me, and that ended up looking worse for him than for me. But yeah, there are some cases, and I think I can't really tell you right now in this moment. But I guess as I do more of them, I'll be able to tell you, I guess. But yeah, obviously there are going to be moments where it's like, uh, this person is advocating for something that clearly is wrong, right? And then I would be like, I have to say that I really don't agree with that. I have to say that that's really not right. And so, I think yeah, if somebody's advocating for people to do things that are wrong, then, obviously step in, right? But it really depends case to case. You
And
can't
while
really
you do that,
predict.
it'll never be enough though, right?
Yeah, obviously it won't be enough, right? People, and the thing is, I think people are kind of like conditioned in this space to see like the conflict as something super heated, like a yelling match, right? And while that works for some people, I think in certain cases, right, like the most recent panel I was on, that was on Ethan's show. Um I think the best way to sometimes engage with people is to say, well, like, I really don't see what you're talking about here, and kind of try to make them um justify why they believe the things that they believe.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's what we were
yeah.
saying earlier. Like
Yeah.
making them answer for what they're saying instead of letting them off the hook with like,
Yeah,
you're
kind of like
fucking dumb.
tomfoolery with Lav, the conversation you had with Lav the other day, right? I went to tomfoolery. I'm like, tomfoolery, like, Tom, how can you complain about Kidology asking stupid questions from Max when you had that conversation with Lav? Like, you didn't ask her what abuse is, what her definition of abuse is. You didn't ask her what exactly in these interactions she qualifies as abusive, right? Yeah, like, you didn't ask her to clarify anything. I'm not saying you even have to push back, right? Just ask her clarifying questions.
So you would say
yeah.
that the non-debate interview style is like you're not asking open-ended, let them go forever questions. It's like they say something controversial. That's the useful part to get them to define.
Yeah, you want to get them to clarify more. You want to get them to. So one example is, I think, the second interview with Spencer. He starts talking about like Jewish people and the origins of Jewish people. And he talks about Abrahamic faiths. And like listening to him, I'm like, okay, let's see where this is going. So then he finishes that, and what I gather is he basically is implying that Abrahamic religions are a conspiracy theory made by Jewish people. So I just straight up ask him, like, "Hey,
Based.
are you implying that Abrahamic religions are a conspiracy made up by Jewish people to like control people?" And immediately he has to start denying it. He's like, "No, I'm not saying that." I'm like, "Well, well, like you kind of are. And then then he denies it there, but obviously, like, I don't know, there it does become apparent later. Like, Spencer is one of those people you kind of have to have like 5 conversations with to really start to get to know who he is. Like, so um and with the Apolloism stuff, it's kind of like, I view it as a pseudo religion, because it's kind of like a set of stories that he's trying to make, that basically him and his friend believe that these stories in Abrahamic faiths um will idolize Jewish people, or idolize, like, put Jewish people above people. That's like what they think in their head, right? And so their Apolloism is partly also an attempt to create a bunch of like stories and fables that don't idolize Jewish people, that non-Jews can be the heroes of, and stuff like that, which is which is weird to me. So
Sounds
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
soy.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
They need a
So
new story to justify the belief they want to have.
yeah, and and so that's kind of the read that I get on it right now. And obviously, like, yeah, when I have conversations, like, if you ask me honestly, like, if people in my chat ask me, like, has he changed, like in some ways, yeah, but he's still anti-Semitic. Like,
He- yeah,
he's still very
he's
anti-Semitic.
changed, but he's not different. Go ahead. Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He's moved on from like the idea of an ethno state, essentially, but he believes in it in the way he believes in a different sense, right? He believes in it with the European Union, I guess, which is like a whole other thing, right? So if people were to ask me, I'd be like, honestly, like, I mean, he is still very anti-Semitic, and so I'm not trying to paint him as anything different from what he is, but these people, you have to get to know them, you have to build some sort of relationship with them for them to trust you and really come out to you and be honest with you. So yeah.
I think that Richard Spencer and his communication style is interesting because he comes from a time where so we were saying that Gigachad is kind of the dominant
Yeah.
now, and but like it's a response to a few years ago when soy was dominant. Like everybody was being like super soy all the time, and now Gigachad is like, we don't want to be a virtue signaler, we don't want to be soy, so you're making a stance against that. But
Mhm.
his communication style sort of comes from the soy time, so he I think he does
Well, here's the
communicate a lot more
thing.
genuinely than the
Yeah,
Gigachad stuff.
you have to. So I'll give you an example. 5 years ago, Sargon of Akkad and Richard Spencer had a debate about ethnostates. And Sargon of Akkad was very, very combative with Richard, whereas Richard was actually incredibly polite, incredibly reasonable. And guess who came out looking better in that, right? Even if Sargon of Akkad was right in saying, like, this idea is fucking crazy, Richard, what are you talking about? Um, Richard Spencer came out looking better. Sargon looked like he lost that debate so hard that he has another channel now, that he doesn't even do stuff on his main channel.
he
And
John Troned it.
the video got like a million views. That debate got like a million views, and Richard ended up looking like a reasonable guy, because that's how he comes off, as his communication style. And like, debate broing people, or being condescending to people in a lot of these situations, ends up helping them. So that's like an example I give, right?
I feel
Sargon of
like
Akkad dealt with it firsthand.
Sargon, if he like started getting emotional and freaking out, he would have outsoyed Spencer though. Like that would be the double
Well, here's
soy. Like
he didn't even the thing is, like, soy wasn't even the concept, right? Because they didn't like call him soy. They were like, Sargon, you're being a pretentious fuck. Like, why are you being so pretentious? And because he looks so pretentious, like, he ended up losing that debate. So yeah.
that's a great debate. That's a fucking classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here. Stardust, it was nice seeing you.
yeah,
Yeah.
And everybody else.
I'm getting exhausted actually. Yeah,
All right,
Peace
Sorry,
out,
I didn't
guys.
mean
You
to
have a good
ramble.
one.
No,
No, you're
no,
fine.
Yeah.
it's fine.
Sorry, here's my question to you. Do you think
Holy fire, my god, that was a lot of that was a long stream, gang. That was so much longer than I normally do. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Will and his channel classic. Like, comment, subscribe, shoot your boy some money if you think it's appropriate. Otherwise, I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. Schrödinger's Stash coming out this week. Pretty goddamn excited. Should be pretty fun. Yeah. Anyways, have a good one, guys. Bye.